Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Couple of Kooks.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning. Good to see you guys. 12 people starting out of the gate. That's fantastic. Appreciate all of y'all coming and spending your Sunday morning with us. Love to see it. Go. Wilhelm in the house. Merry Christmas, John and Mikey, and everyone tuning in. Merry Christmas, Will. Hope it's a good one for you. Son of a Crayon Slayer, good morning. The translucent one. Morning, brother. Ken asked for a hot female Asian housemaid. Didn't go over too well with the mall Santa. Touched my inner thigh. I'd say I'm sorry to hear that, but something tells me you weren't like totally off put by it.
Ken, you probably should have been more specific in your wish.
More specific. Of course, my brother says to make sure to rub the inner like button. I appreciate that.
Sure.
The mall Santa whispered in his ear as well. I feel like that's probably pretty standard practice there. Now, what he said, I don't know about that. Bear 11 Charlie in the house. Morning, campers. Hope you brought your booties because it's cold out there. Good morning, he says. Cooter's Garage in the house. Crash is in the house. Good morning, sir. Brad Davenport. I'm heading to a Christmas party, but wanted to drop in and wish you Jolly Kooks a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Brad.
Merry Christmas, Brad.
Glad you're keeping it real in the 417, buddy. Good morning, Mom.
Good morning.
Was a nice surprise to see you two on Smokin' Joe's last night. Yeah, that was fun to do. Had a good time. Machine Man, morning all. Remind me, what is the name of that Robotech model kit behind John?
This one? Is this the one right here that I'm pointing at? The spider kit? Right here?
Is that the one, Machine Man? Let us know.
Yeah, let me know. I'll walk you through it because it's got two different names. Okay.
Yep, that's the one.
All right. Let's do this. The Revell model kit is called the Sand Stalker. All right. But in Japan, it is the Desert Gunner. Right?
Ooh.
And this thing is super popular. They make it in all kinds of scales.
Wow.
It's really cool. This is one of my favorite designs. I had that kit as a kid from Revell, so I had that. There's even like a little tchotchke version of it.
Oh, look at that little guy.
Yeah, like it's a really popular. It's a really popular figure over there. I don't know. It's probably from some media, but when Revell did the Robotech license, they kind of took a lot of different Japanese models and brought them in because they look like robots. So they just did all kinds of stuff. But the Sandstalker was my absolute favorite. It's articulated, so you can move the legs around after you built it. It's super cool. But that's what it is. Revell calls it the Sandstalker. If you want a Japanese one, it is the Desert Gunner. So that's what it is.
Nothing fell. Whoa, rabbit hole! Did you get the Macross Factory?
I do have
He's
several. I have several of the Robotech versions.
Those are cool.
Factory pieces. I used to have the others, but I think I sold them because I focused just to get all four of the ones, if that's the ones you're talking about for the factory, because each one of those is designed to hold a different thing in each module of the factory. I really love that.
That's pretty neat. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning. Happy holidays. Sorry about the rabbit hole. That's just one of my favorite things on my shelf.
Almost like you wanted somebody to ask you about it.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool design and it's a lot of fun. And like I say, they make it in all kinds of different scales. So it makes it cool because if you don't have a lot of room, you can buy one of the smaller kits, for the box. And, it's just kind of one of those things. I'd love to see one of those in a big scale, like toy scale that we usually go in.
That would be crazy.
Even the the 1/24th scale guys, even something like that.
Jim says I tried some of the 30-minute builds. Bandai, I think, fun builds.
I really love those. I had a huge collection of them and I sold them. But it's not just you're just like you pick your skeletal part, then you can pick the armor, and then you can pick all kinds of crazy accessory packs for them. Like, and they're fairly inexpensive. They're 12 to $20 a piece. You watch them on Amazon, and they'll go on sale. You get a couple of different ones. They mold them in all kinds of different colors, and I think there's 4 different armor sets now. And it's pretty cool. I love those 30-minute builds. If you like, if you have time to build a model and put them together, like they're molded in the correct colors. You don't even have to paint them if you don't want to.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Well, today, Dad and I came up with a new idea, kind of Christmas themed. It's developed over the last few days. It was just going to be just like a wish list with just a couple of things. And then it turned into 10 things with these are a few of my favorite things, musical theme. And then last night it pretty much turned into the 12 things of Christmas because we couldn't narrow down what 10 we wanted, so we just did 12 and a bonus, so it's really the 13 things we love about.
These are a few of my favorite things for the 12 days of Christmas.
Perfect. Combo platter there. Jim says he's a sucker for any kind of robot or mech.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Understandable.
Yeah, I just split it up into what I really like, and a lot of things that I had, like maybe I built that kit as a kid because I built a ton of model kits when I was a kid, and if anybody was around back then when you started having air conditioning in cars and you didn't have to use a crank and all that, model kits were a little harder to find than they are now. So you found a good hobby shop and you saved up and you got a couple of cool kits, and back then Walmart carried stuff, and that's when the Robotech stuff, like it was everywhere for a little while. You could get all of them. They really pushed that.
Crash says last model I did was a 37 Ford when I was 15, damn near 40 now.
I feel like I probably could say that's about the last time I finished a model kit. I built a few in between there. I built a couple of Gundams and some other stuff that I still have that I really like, but most of the time it feels like I buy something. I mean, Mikey knows this. I have a huge selection of car kits. And I used to joke with him, like, yeah, if I ever get in like a car accident or something where I can't work, this is what I'm going to build. And now that was 20 years ago, and I'm like, when is that ever going to happen?
Yeah, banking on a life altering car crash is a pretty wild. Pretty wild.
Well, apparently the universe wasn't listening, so it hasn't happened. So.
Thank God for something. Cliff says he remembers having the spaceship that's behind you.
Oh yeah, that's the Starbird. Cool. Starbird or the Avenger, either one of them are pretty cool.
Morning, Dan.
Morning, Dan.
And Ken says there's a 118 robot kit named Chic Mainland 3-minute projects. They look neat. 3 minutes.
Those do look pretty cool. I have seen those. I haven't dipped in, but those are pretty neat. Those look like something I would really kind of enjoy.
Yeah. Anyway, with the list that we came up with, like I said, there's 12, and then there's the bonus.
So do you want to go through what the 12 are, or do you just want to go one at a time and have everybody like listen, guys, we want to do this. We decided on 12 because we knew it could fill the time slot. We wanted to do something like super positive and fun for Christmas, and you guys are always here. It'd be pretty cool if you guys played along a little bit. And I will tell you, the first topic is your favorite like if you could have it, like if you could find one and you could write the check today, or charge it up today, what would that one vintage item be? And really thinking vintage, like probably before 1980. Like, I mean, we're at the point now in our lives
Well, no, the
where
first one's vintage toy.
vintage toy, yeah, that's what I'm saying. What did
You
I
said
say?
vintage item.
Vintage toy, yeah, I'm sorry. This
But
vintage toy, something before like 1980. Like, think about all the toys back then. Toys were a little different back then. So that's just something that you always thought you maybe saw it one time somewhere, and you're like, man, that would be pretty cool. And that's kind of what we're looking at. These are items that you probably, I mean, we drop money on his tanks and things like that. So it's kind of hard to say, like, when you're into the modern collecting, like, just step back, and if you could have one vintage toy, what would it be? You know. Good morning.
Morning, Moo. Aren't you supposed to be doing something?
Hmm.
She's supposed to be working? Was she on the
No,
YouTube while she's working?
She hasn't left yet. She's still.
Oh, good. Bad. Boss catches you on the YouTube.
All right, Mikey, what do you want to? How do you want to do? You want to kick it off with your favorite, what vintage toy you'd like to have, or what do you want to do?
Let's give a synopsis here of the whole list. Let's just run.
Okay.
So we've got vintage toy, imported toy, modern collectible, and this would be like something that's no longer available retail, like you would have to get secondary market thing. 1/6 scale, a statue, original art or commissioned piece or something like that. Comic book, childhood favorite. So this is something from your childhood that you've not purchased or replaced or anything like that. Then we've got music memorabilia, movie memorabilia, vintage collectible. So this could be anything vintage. And I would say definitely vintage collectible. We would definitely, it would be hard for us to pick something that was made after 1980 because Dad and I are into so many different things. But then number 12 is a piece of military equipment. Um, Now that would exclude like a jet. Like it's something that you could reasonably afford, but probably won't. Like I don't think there's anything in the list that's really well. No, that's not true. Never mind. Disregard what I was
When you get to the last few, closer to the last day of Christmas, like
they
the
get pretty
cost
ridiculous.
goes up quite a bit. So
And then our bonus is something that does not exist, but reasonably could. So we're not talking about world peace or something like that. This would be a tangible object that you could convince somebody to make if you had the right pull.
so yeah, like, not a time machine, not a concept that is impossible.
Yeah.
Planetary expeditions. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like,
Invisibility cloak.
something that you could tangibly see could happen. Maybe you don't know why it hasn't, but you think it should. That kind of thing. Just something you wish, like, and it could be, like, we're all collectors, like, we're all toy guys, we're all, into that kind of stuff. Maybe it's something you're like, I don't know why this hasn't been made, but this should be made, and I would want. Maybe it's something like that. So yeah, that's kind of the list. Like I say, when we were putting them together, I was kind of trying to go cost wise goes up as the list goes on, but maybe there are some of these things have an emotional attachment that means more than money. So it can be that. It can be that.
Yeah. It could be a very, very large number of things.
Yeah. And what's going to be funny is I think there's one item on our list that Mike and I are both going to have the same thing. I don't know yet, but it will surprise me if we don't on this one thing. But we'll see what happens.
All right, Pop. Why don't you start us off?
Okay, I can do that. All right. Vintage toy that I would love to have, but it's not something I've ever been able to justify or find one in perfect condition. But it would be the Johnny 7.
Oh, shit. Okay.
This toy to me represents a time when this, like, I can't even imagine like going into the store and being able to find something this ridiculously crazy. Like, this is just everything. Now, honorable mention on this would be the Remco Monkey, I think it was Monkey Okinawa sets, where they had like an M60 and they had a rocket launcher. That stuff was all cool, but the Johnny 7 is just like everything. It's got a grenade launcher, it's got a missile launcher on it. I think it fires caps maybe, and it breaks down into components. Got this bipod on it. Like, I wasn't alive when this was a toy you could buy. So to think like when I was a kid, like we were making guns out of wood and stuff like that, and there were guns available, but like to think that this was something you could have. The box art looks cool. Look how intense that kid is on there. I mean, he's like
in it.
He's in it. He is. Yeah. So the Johnny 7 is just. I think it's awesome, and this would be my. If I pick one vintage toy that I don't have or that I've never come across, this would be my one.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah. There were, in the 60s, there were a lot of these weapon sets and really cool realistic weapons that, like I say, Remco's Monkey, I think it's Monkey Army. They had an M60 that it had a magazine was fed into the top and it fired these big red missile things, but it looked like an M60. It's just really cool. So there you go.
Very cool.
That's my vintage toy.
All right. So it's pretty.
Yes, that's the prototype for every cable gun.
Let's see. All right, so pre 1980. So I think I would get. I don't know if it would be this, but it would be something like this. So 1966 Mattel Space Station. That's just cool.
Yeah, this is on many. Matt Mason stuff is on many of my lists. So yeah, I totally.
This is awesome. I mean, honestly, vintage toy that isn't GI Joe even would probably be some sort of 60s spaceship or something like that.
Yeah.
Just because no matter what, I think it's awesome. The art on the box is usually fantastic. This one's pretty realistic. This is just toy photography before that was a named thing.
Yeah, you can tell that they would do photography, and then a lot of times they would cell shade part of it, to accent to make it look cooler. It is this is an awesome set. Most of the Matt Mason stuff is incredible. Like for me, it was just like this is definitely something I would go for. I also had to consider like the Action Man space vehicles and the Action Man Space Rangers and stuff like that. I considered those in my list, but those are things that I have been to shows recently and seen at a reasonable price. Some of that stuff is coming down a little bit in price. So,
right.
So I was kind of going with that. And like to me, the Johnny 7 like just represented a time as well as a toy, right? It was a time. Same with the Matt Mason stuff is the same way. Like the figures are cool looking, but they're awful because they're just rubber with wire in them, and the wire breaks, and you have all this stuff. But the toy line and all the cool, they had the walkers with the suction cups on the feet.
Yes.
I mean, so the Matt Mason, the entire line is just freaking awesome. I don't know if you remember, you would have been pretty young, but I had a friend in Kansas City that had his attic was like a toy, like everything.
I remember that attic.
Yeah,
He had a
and he had
crazy Planet of the Apes display.
yeah, he had this massive Planet of the Apes thing that was like 8 feet long,
yeah.
where he had just strung a bunch of the play sets together. On the other side of the room was Matt Mason stuff. So yeah, I always had a soft spot for those. That's a very good pick. That space station is super cool.
Very cool.
Barbie Dream House for astronauts.
Yes. It almost has like the same kind of vibe like the original Palatoy base does, you know, with the like tiers to it, you know.
Yeah.
Plastic structure. It's very cool. Very cool.
Okay.
What do you got for numero 2?
Okay, so my number 2, which is an imported toy, this is one I've talked about many times. It is attainable. I've just never really been able to. And as time's gone on, this thing's gotten more and more expensive. But I would absolutely love to have this. And when I show these vintage toys, like I am talking, I want like a box. I want the complete toy. I want everything that was in the box.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it out and put it together. I'm going to tell you that right now. But I want the box. I want the toy. I love this. I love this for many reasons. And I've told this story. You guys know this story about my love for the Action Force stuff. Came from, we had a friend. His wife was from England. He was stationed in England in the Air Force for years. He met her, and they were just like a block over neighbors, and they were really, really good friends of ours. And she would come home from England after Christmas and have all this cool, like, she would bring me like Action Force figures, you know, and I remember looking on the back of the Ground Assault Trooper, and this thing was on the back, and I just thought this was the most ridiculously cool thing ever. This was like a TIE fighter and a skull, and just all the cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
But this is my thing. Like, this is one collectible that I would still like to have, and you guys got to understand, like I have like Mark's figures, 12-inch figures, you know, the military ones and the Cowboys. I love all that kind of stuff, but this is still one of my all-time favorites, and I would love to have one. So.
Son of a Crown says, I remember going into a Child World in the early 80s and picking out a metal chrome 1911 cap gun, used cap rolls, no orange tip. I had one of those.
Yeah, I remember these.
We got it at a garage sale. I loved it.
Yeah, I remember these when I was a kid. It was Children's Palace for me, but yeah, I remember that, because I remember when you go into like Children's Palace, this was before Toys R Us, and Child World was the same kind of store. You go in there, and there was like a large section of an aisle was all cap guns and different guns that would probably send people into comas now.
Oh, yeah.
Anxiety, PTSD comas, because they had PTSD because they got their ass whipped for breaking a vase when they were 4. These people that can't handle this kind of thing. But yeah, I remember that. I remember that gun because I thought it was so cool. And that was something that I loved when I was a kid. Like, stuff like that was coming out. Like, there were the cheesy stuff, like the Johnny Sevens, pretty cheesy. It's not based on anything real that we know of. But you know, the toys that came out in the 80s, the guns like got more and more realistic. Like the A-Team Uzi, Remco did a ton of guns, you know.
Yeah.
Like, the guns got more and more realistic, and then they started doing like water guns instead of cap guns, and so the pump was like when you would pump it by. It's just cool as hell. But I do remember that 1911.
Yeah. That one, and found a little PPK one time. I think it was supposed to look like a PPK. I don't think it was a PPK, but I thought that was cool. A little James Bond cap gun. I thought that thing was cool. I
I
have no
still have
idea where the
that.
fuck it came from. You have that?
Yeah, it's got the silencer that snaps on it.
No, not that one.
Okay, this is a cap gun.
Yeah,
It's
this one was like
007.
an old cap gun. Like
Oh,
it was
okay. I was gonna say I had that.
die cast and everything.
I have that 007 one they did in plastic that actually.
That thing's cool as hell. That thing was
a snap-on silencer. It's pretty cool.
That was cool.
It does roll caps, I think. So.
Western Auto sold some great cap guns.
They did. Yeah,
they
did.
Western Autos had all kinds of little stuff like that. You know, pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. That's a pretty cool set too.
All right, so imported toy is where we're at. So,
Hey Dan, the difference is in this aisle, they probably would have had a 40-watt plasma rifle cap gun.
Well, I went Action Force, but I didn't go Robo Skull. I went with the Sea Lion because I think this is one of the coolest vintage toys of the 1980s. This is so good.
Everything about
I love this.
They had one. They had one at AR, you know. Yeah. And
somebody had one at AR.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It didn't have the box. You just had one.
Okay.
I think it was $375 is what they wanted for it.
Hmm.
But he had one of
those guys from the UK that came to Joe Fest. They had just about everything.
Yeah,
that was one of the coolest booths I've ever seen.
But I think it was 400 in the box because there were two guys from England, right? That were selling Action Force stuff, two different tables, and literally everything.
They had
budget would not allow me to get this or a Robo Skull, but it did allow me to get a couple of other things that I never would have been able to get easily.
I think Ken bought this. If he didn't, he was really contemplating it because I talked to him when he was standing over there because I was like, you should definitely get this.
Yeah, I think he did too. I think he came by and said I got it. You know,
yeah, that's what I think. I'm pretty sure Ken Poe went home with this motherfucker.
If there was a vehicle that would be an incredibly cool 1/12 scale vehicle, this would be it. I mean, this is
yes. Oh yes, 100%, 100%. Yeah, that's a badass vehicle.
Yeah, I see them all the time. It's just pulling the trigger when I could, there's other stuff I would like to have. And then, Brian Kaufman has the ones that he's done in different colors.
Yeah.
He's cast in different colors. I'm like, well, shit, if I had a Robo Skull, I'd want a purple one too. Yeah, you know what I mean. So, yeah, they're becoming more and more available.
Yeah,
and a lot of that's because of the new Robo Skull. Really gave it a lot of pop culture reference. Like people see it.
Yeah, brought a presence back.
Oh, was it Peter? Was it in there? Okay, so he did get it. Great, awesome.
Nice. Yeah. All right, so number 3, modern collectible. What you got?
Okay, I messed this up because I took the literally not available right now. This thing is coming, and I want it really bad, but I don't think there's any way I can afford it.
So it's a Snowcat?
No.
Oh.
I would like to have a Snowcat, but it just I would like to have it.
That's one of your favorite vehicles.
Yeah, but it's an overbuilt, overpriced thing, and I
100% agree. And the figures
I would just as soon have one of Steve's 3D models, printed models of his. It looks awesome. It looks like the old one. I love it. I felt like they kind of overdid. I don't know. I don't want to. Okay. Anyway, so my pick is let's see here. Put in by Hot Toys 1/6 scale Agent Venom.
I am not
Probably
gonna
won't
lie.
be out till next year.
I looked at this.
I want this thing. Agent Venom is one of my favorite characters. Like, I absolutely love this thing. This character. I love how they, they brought Flash Thompson in, and where Flash started in the comics to where he became this decorated war hero, lost the use of his legs. They had gone through several agents trying to get somebody who could control the Venom costume, and this guy that was a bully to Peter Parker when he was a kid, had the balls, the sheer willpower to control the suit. Anyone else that had tried to control it either went crazy or died, or
Yeah.
But this thing, man,
that's the fun of it, Shane. Being ridiculous.
Like, it's got the articulated arms. The guns look great. It's got the blade. They have this here where it shows that, like, the arms of the suit are pulling his guns out of the holster. It would be hard to find the one pose I would pose it in.
You'd have to change it like every month or something. Like,
you just have to go in and mess with it. But I like to say, I love Flash Thompson's Venom, and I loved the story. I loved how it happened, and even as it progressed into the Space Venom saga and all that. But I remember there was a scene with the Guardians where he was kind of like, they kind of wanted to mess with him. They were like, well, what, why are you so scared? Kind of a story. And he said, well, I'll show you, but you guys have to understand, you might have to take me out. And so he let the suit kind of go crazy, and then Flash reeled it back in. And just to see, like, it's kind of like Wolverine's healing factor, right? You don't realize, like, 24/7, because of the way he treats his body, his healing factor is running all the time. So if he let his guard down just a little bit, or lost his power, his healing factor power, he would die. They discovered that. They've talked about that several times in the comics. Like, the adamantium in his body literally, Cable, couldn't use full telekinesis because he was holding his body together because of the virus. So, so that's I think it's like when you talk about in a hero's journey, you talk about a hero that is troubled and has these things. Well, guys like Agent Venom and Cable and Wolverine, these guys all have this thing that they have to personally control, right? It's physical. They physically have to control it. It's not just a mental thing. So it's a good representation of that kind of struggle. And just to see that for Flash, and Flash, how he went out, even, like, they gave Flash Thompson, like, one of the best one of the best endings of a character. Like, you built him up, you did all this stuff with him, and then he made an ultimate sacrifice. So it just, Flash is just awesome, and Agent Venom is super. I think it's a super cool design, and I just love it. And so this figure, Hot Toys, captures everything about it perfectly. I think it's gorgeous. I hope that they have the spider emblem on the bottom of the boots.
I was actually thinking that it does. I think there's another picture that shows it's almost like the Black Widow symbol on the bottom.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I might have seen that. But anyway, I just like I say, this isn't a super expensive thing. It's probably I think it's $330, $340.
Yeah, I mean, a regular one's like $280. The deluxe ones are like $100 more or something. Yeah,
I feel like Agent Venom will be one of the ones. This happens with Hot Toys. Sometimes you get they'll be available for years. You could still get one. I think Agent Venom will be one of the ones that, if you don't get it in this first round, you won't get it. Like, you'll be paying $800 for it. There's several figures like that you wouldn't think, like Mamo Nadon, Hammerhead, the 1/6 sideshow one. That figure, that was a $90 figure when I got mine, and you can't replace it for less than $400.
Wow.
And there's several other, like, you can go get a Hawkeye, you can go get some of these, but like the Civil War series, like the Hawkeye Black Widow, those are all like very difficult to get now. So you never know what character it's going to be. But
Yeah.
I think this one will be one that, and if I'm wrong, that's great because maybe in 2 or 3 years I can pick one up and not feel guilty about it.
There you go.
But you know what I mean. But if so, 2 or 3 years from now, that could be a $600 figure. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, for
So,
sure.
like I say, this isn't one that's not in production anymore. It's one that's coming. So I kind of messed up on that. But this
So,
is something that isn't in production right now, and I think it should be. So
yeah.
it's
That's
definitely,
a
definitely,
badass pick.
it is beautiful.
I
So
definitely looked at it. Mother Slugs in the house. Good morning, sir. Good to
morning.
see you. And Joseph says, Doc Savage, the man of bronze. That would be cool. Rolling trick shot, LLOY. 3 a.m. here. Just got up for a pee. Stopping by to say Merry Christmas, gentlemen. Merry Christmas, sir.
Merry Christmas. That's an interesting. Oh my God. That's probably a question we should save for our next Smoking Joe's thing. Get some inception level
Yeah.
thoughts
Really
there.
see if we can stump one. All right. So, modern collectible. It's the HasLab Sentinel. I wish to hell I could get one. I can't. It's too goddamn ridiculous. But as an X-Men guy, this thing is freaking sick. Now I still want the ones they just came out with that are just the plain Sentinels, because in my head
Yeah.
that's a Sentinel. But this thing is so fucking cool.
It
When this
is.
came out, I was like, holy shit. I wasn't collecting anything at the time.
Yeah.
Like, man, some X-Men would be cool. And I would have to have that Sentinel. And I was like relieved. I was like, thank God I'm not collecting, because I would have to have this. Well, wouldn't you fucking know it? Wouldn't you know it?
Yeah. This is like the ultimate
Zach knows.
X-Men collectible, I think.
It's so cool.
Zach, you don't have one of these?
Zach has two?
Two? Okay. I was gonna
Or
say that seems
three.
like
He might have three. He definitely has Sentinels. And he has no interest in the new ones. But yeah, I Zach and I have the Sentinel crew, and yeah, I love Sentinels.
he has three, he said.
Yeah, there you go.
Very cool.
I was thinking so. So yeah, so that's the thing that's no longer available that I wish I had, for sure. It's so badass.
That's a great.
So number 4 is 1/6 scale.
Okay.
This could be a vehicle. This could be anything. Yeah. Just 1/6 scale.
So in this range where I'm looking, there are several things that I would love to have. They're all Star Wars, and they're all done by Hot Toys. But the one that gives me the feels the most is this one,
and really, man, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, the speeder bikes I think are still affordable. Okay,
the
ATRT or ATST RT. Like I love that, but I have one that I modeled myself like 5 years ago that I 3D printed and I've never put it together. So I technically already have that, but my modeling skills are not organic. My modeling skills are technical, so I could never model a dewback, to the level that this thing is. I just love this thing. And when I was a kid, the dewback was my second favorite toy. Obviously, the Imperial Cruiser / Troop Transporter is my favorite. If they ever did a 1/6 scale one of those, I would die. I would actually like to have a 1/12 scale one of those, honestly.
It's disappointing.
I wondered what was. I had seen it and I thought that, but I didn't really look at it to see what was missing. But this thing's still available. Sideshow still has these. And I would happily find shelf space for this. That's the other thing. I want to like pick something that I wouldn't just leave in the box and not touch it forever. I would have the dewback out. I have a shit ton of sand troopers that I just need to put all their gear on them and set them up. Um, but I would definitely make room for the dewback. As a kid, I liked dinosaurs before I discovered Star Wars, so the dewback was like the mesh of those two loves. So
that makes a lot of sense.
this would be my 1/6 scale pick. If I just somebody said go buy the coolest 1/6 scale thing you want, I'll pay for it, or here's a check, whatever. This would be the thing. So
Now with Sideshow right now, if you bought this, you probably get a free figure with it.
probably
I don't
it's
know what
either
those
that.
figures
I don't know what
are,
their
but
special is right now, but like once a year at least, Sideshow does a deal where you buy one get one 50% off. So you get one of these, and you could get the AT-RT or a speeder bike. You know what I mean? And then you like get both of them for like $700 or $800 or whatever it is. But this one, like speeder bikes, to me, the thing I would want about a speeder bike is I would like to have my Clone Armor Obi-Wan on a white speeder bike, and they haven't put that together yet. But they did the white bikes for Mandalorian, So and those are way easier to get than the Return of the Jedi speeder bikes. But to have that speeder bike and then put the Obi-Wan and the Clone Armor on it, yeah, I would love to do that, like the Clone Wars.
well, it's like I asked if the original Star Wars had the dewback scene in it. Not the scene, but they are in it. Not the scene where they're like walking, they're like, oh, not that.
I don't even know. Yeah, they did have that, but the scene that's on the box of the dewback, where the sergeant is like holding the stick up, and you just see the sky behind it, and he's on the back of the dewback.
Yeah,
that scene is in one version, but I don't think that one ever. They didn't do the close up. I don't think for the original cut. So and it's hard because you got the original cut, you got the slightly enhanced one that they re-released in theaters back then before everybody was doing digital enhancement.
right.
There's so many different versions of A New Hope that it's hard to tell. But I think all you saw were them in the background. The background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely had those. They had the little trap door where you could just jam the figure into the body.
But if you look at the box, right? If you look at that vintage box, there's a scene on the box that shows the Stormtrooper Sergeant. You see the sky in the background, and you just see the hump of the dewback. That should have been in the movie. That's clearly a movie cut, but I don't think that scene was in the movie. What you had was the scene where they were in the background walking. But this is definitely
the Dragon 10th Mountain Division figure and the Sideshow Dusty. Those Sideshow Joes were pretty badass.
Sideshow Joes are legit.
Those were fucking cool.
So that's my 1/6 scale.
All right. So my 1/6, and I look at this. Now I look at it every time I'm at Brew Squad Entertainment, but it's Dr. Doom. It's so good. It's so good, and the deluxe is so fucking awesome.
I think I look at this every time.
Oh my god, dude! Just give me this in a movie, dude. Come on, this is so good. He comes with everything you could possibly want. The freaking Darkhold, vintage style mask, a freaking Luger, energy, lightning, magic, the freaking Dio piece. It's unbelievably cool.
This is a great figure. What a good pick.
Oh, it's so good. Like almost everything that the Sideshow like premium format statues do, this can do that pose and so much more. He may not be able to cross his arms because 1/6 scale getting to cross is pretty next to impossible. That may be the one thing it can't do, but
it's a beautiful figure. It's art. I mean, this is.
It is. It's a posable statue.
And what I love about this is this isn't like a lot of people like will point to the Hot Toys figures that are movie accurate, renditions. But I love when the designers go outside the box a little bit. They take some comic design, they take some, some like awesomely painted covers.
Yes.
Where there's a rendition of Doom, and they put something together like this. This is cool. This is awesome.
I mean, the way it's designed, it looks like the frickin' KUK-O brothers did it. I mean, it's so medieval but modern. It's absolutely perfect. It's so badass.
1/6 scale. But I think he's actually, the figure itself is closer to 13 inches because, like, the Iron Man.
He's a monster man. Yeah, for sure. He is huge. Yeah. Revan, like Darth Revan?
Okay, Mendoza, here's what I think on that. I would love, because Sideshow is famous, Hot Toys is famous for doing 2-packs, right? Where you get 2 different bodies of the same character. I would love for them to do a dark and light Revan. Like where you open that box and you got the white robed one and you got the dark one. I would absolutely love that because I played that game so many times through that I played both sides. I've done it all. And for costume design, both of them are like ultimate versions of dark and light. For a Jedi, I love the Revan design. And I think it would be so cool if they did it like a 2-pack where you just slid it out of that box and it was both suits. That would be killer. Or did a double window where you could literally display it that way. I would love a Darth Revan. That is a great choice.
That would be cool. All right. Number 5.
Oh God.
This may have been one of the ones I spent the most time trying to like whittle it down.
I didn't have to.
You didn't have to?
Let's see
it. What do you got?
At the time this came out, I could have bought it. Like this was something that I did not buy and I wanted it. And this is going to surprise some people because they don't know my love for this character, but this is I love this 1/4 scale premium format Miss Marvel.
That does make sense.
Yeah. She's not in like a superpower pose, like as far as action, but like, and this is the best picture I could find of it. I don't know why Sideshow doesn't have it on their site anymore. She came with an alternate head that looks better than this head, but I love this. This was peak Carol Danvers Miss Marvel. And this was when, in the statue, she just looks like, she's got her chest out and her arms back, like she is ready to fight. I think that looks so cool. And it's just a great pose for her. I love Miss Marvel merchandise. I'm still trying to find, I know 7-Eleven did a cup, the plastic cup. I'm still trying to find one of those. I have a Black Widow one, but I've not been able to find a Miss Marvel one. And I think the one that 7-Eleven did was when she was in she had the blue and red, the black blue costume. So
okay.
I don't think it's this costume. But this Miss Marvel, I had missed out on a lot of this because I wasn't collecting comics, and obviously when Miss Marvel had her own series. But at the time I was reading X-Men and the Genosha story, I think it was Genosha, where Rogue and Wolverine lost their powers and they got captured, and Rogue was touched by all these people. It doesn't ever say anything about SA or anything like that, and you're not really sure if that's even what happened, because for Rogue, who's never really been able to touch or be touched by somebody, to have multiple people roughing her up and touching her could have been as damaging to her psyche as something more vulgar,
Sure.
But what happened, Rogue basically just goes totally, blocks herself out from the world, and Carol is in her head, because we know how Rogue got her powers. And Carol says, "Kid, you got to let me take over. We're not going to get out of this if I don't take over." And Carol does. And it's Carol and Wolverine who there is history there where when Carol was working spy stuff, her and Logan had several adventures together. And he recognized, like, when she took over, like, her scent even changed, and Wolverine knew it was her, even though his powers were totally screwed. He could still tell it was Carol in charge. And so I was like, okay, well, I want to know more. And so I started reading about, started like looking it up. And so every little bit, when Mikey or I at a comic store, I'm always looking for Miss Marvel issues that I don't have. The art was pretty good. A lot of great stories in there. And Marvel did her pretty dirty in the Avengers. Um, how they got her kind of kicked out and all that kind of stuff. But as a character, Carol was a badass. She didn't really need her powers, but her powers enhanced who she was. So it was really cool. A lot of people look at this costume and they see the sexualization and all that because of how she's dressed. But just a reminder, like, superheroes, the men at the time were basically just painted naked bodies. So you can't really pretend that only women got objectified in comic books, right? Yes, this is cheeky, she's showing her thighs, she's showing her shoulders. But man, look at those shoulders. Holy shit.
Those are intense shoulders.
Anyway, this statue, I missed it. These things, I saw one on eBay go for like $400 a few months ago, and I have no idea how that happened. I think she had a broken hand, or she was missing one of the heads, or something. But these things easily go for $1,200 to $1,400 now. And I don't have a lot of 1/4 scale stuff. I have a Boba Fett, and I have a couple of Obi-Wan statues. There's an Obi-Wan Mythos statue that I was going to use instead of this, but their Hot Toys is doing a new version of that.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I might be able to find a way to fit that one in. The Mythos statue, for anyone who doesn't know, is Obi-Wan, like, as he's in exile. He's got he's got a Tusken Raider staff. His lightsabers are hanging from his belt. You can switch the head out to an aged Ewan McGregor or a de-aged Alec Guinness head.
Is it the one that has like the backpack with his armor in it? Yeah, that's fucking dope.
So that is that. I would have picked that, but this one is one of the ones that I wish I would have gotten when I had the chance. I love now it's not so great because of all the things in the world that make you feel shame for liking something like this. And Marvel went through the whole, like, all women's suits need to totally cover their bodies, which is sad because, like, even like I say, even Spider-Man, just is a naked guy with a design drawn on him. Like, it's okay. Hercules, Thor, all those guys, like, are showing muscles and showing skin.
Hey, Colossus was showing a hell of a lot more than Miss Marvel here, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Decades.
So, but this character design, and all of this about this takes me to a time when there was such a thing as a strong leading female that could carry her own book. So that is a myth that never happened before Hunger Games.
Carol definitely had that.
So Carol was this badass. She is a former spy. She's a pilot. She just happened to get some badass powers that kind of matched her personality, matched her skill set. But even without the powers, Carol's pretty awesome. So anyway, this Miss Marvel statue is the one that got away. It's the one I wish I could have got, and I would still love to have one.
Solid pick.
Thank you.
Okay. My pick is the Fastball Special.
This is a great statue.
I wish Colossus was like chromed in this.
Yeah.
But this is utterly amazing. And over $1,000 retail.
Yeah.
Um,
And this is on the site right now. Like,
yeah,
right?
this is on it. You can get on the wait list.
If you get on the wait list, sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this is cool. The other one's cool. The statue where they're like coming out of the comic book is cool, but man, if I was gonna get one, I would want the whole statue. Just Colossus, obviously, he's my favorite. He's my favorite mutant. He's my favorite X-Man. Wolverine was my childhood favorite. So Fastball Special is kind of the collision of the two worlds, you know.
And what's kind of cool here is, you know, the Miss Marvel statue that I showed was her like in a restrained, ready to fight way. This is like a perfectly
in battle
action moment that you would not be able to even see in real life. Like this is like stop the image right there, just like it came off a comic panel, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this is incredible.
Yeah. I love this. And I thought I kept looking for it and I couldn't find it, but I thought there was one where it was like a really large statue that was a Sentinel and Colossus and Wolverine were part of it. I could not find that. There were others that had Sentinels in them. There's one that's like Magneto, Gambit, and Juggernaut. There's one that's like I can't remember. Like, I was like Iceman and Kitty, or maybe not Kitty. Maybe it's like the Gold Team X-Men, but none of them had Colossus. And if I was going to have a statue, it would have something with Colossus. Marvel is my primary love. I know I get a lot of stuff with GI Joe. That's what I talk about the most. But Marvel will always be my true passion. I love the X-Men.
Absolutely.
So this is, like you said, like this is a snapshot out of the battlefield, and it looks so good. I said the one thing, Colossus should be chromed out, and that would take this to a whole nother level. But yeah, that's it. The Fastball Special, Colossus and Wolverine, premium format figure by Sideshow.
The 10th Mountain. Yeah, so to me, that was like and Mikey thought this at the time too, this was like the pinnacle of Hasbro's rebirth of the line, where they were doing modern renditions of military units. The 10th Mountain is probably one of the best ones that Hasbro did. It wasn't on par with the Dragon versions, but playability. You still had something that was superposable, durable, like I said, playability, but also it looked right and it came with all the right gear. I think that's one of there's a lot of them I love from that era that Hasbro did. And that was why. I mean, I love the Dragon stuff. I even love the early Hot Toy stuff, but some of that stuff really felt fragile and over designed, you know. Whereas the Hasbro stuff was still like you could play with it. You didn't worry about it. They had that M4 that Hasbro used a bunch that was modular, where
forward grip and the suppressor. Yeah, that was sick.
Magazine could change out. You could snap a scope on it, 2 or 3 different scopes.
Even they had the pistols with the movable slide and the dropout mags too. Like it was just like they were firing on all cylinders. It was so good.
I can see that. That's an incredibly good statue.
That's a badass.
Good morning to everybody that has just joined. Frank.
Yes. Good morning. Doom. Yeah. So 6 is original.
Ninjago, that is real. That I remember that. Trying to remember when that happened, but yeah, that is that cover is super awesome. Dorman's cover for that is cool, and I remember that statue. But man, I have not seen that in forever. I believe I saw it like at a comic shop. All right, so next is a piece of art.
Yes, art.
This is difficult for me because there are so many things that I would love to have.
So, just real quick, I did go with. So I said in there, original art, commission art, I actually ended up really going with something that I could actually have currently. Not like I could write a letter and commission an artist to do something, because
That's what
that
I
would have
did too.
thrown me deep into a rabbit hole. Like I would have gone balls deep into that. So I was like, wait, dial it back. Let me find something, buy an artist, and let's just say like I could have the original painting of it and not a print. Because a print of what I want, reasonable. But
Okay,
if I
I'm
could
wondering.
actually go and get something,
That's
that
what
was
this.
how I did it. That's how I did it.
That's what this is to me. The character that I want, I know that the original art got changed for the Tiger Force version, so the original one doesn't exist. So I
Oh,
went with. So I went with my my next one that I would happily take. This is my this is probably my favorite. There's three or four maybe original art pieces from this line that I would love to have, but I know this one exists and it fits with a lot of my other collectible things. So it'd be the original art for Airborne.
that
I
makes
know
a
it
lot of
exists because this is a picture of it. I don't know who has it, but yeah, this is a terrible view of it. This was this was the first figure that I bought of GI Joe that I bought strictly based on the art on the box.
Hmm.
Breaker, I just loved the figure because he reminded me of the adventure team. Flash, I love because he was a laser rifle trooper. His art's not particularly exciting. It's cool because he looks like he's creeping, but Airborne, Ripcord, Snowjob, Flint. Those are my four favorite.
solid picks. Damn.
Snowjob's art, where he's like in the air, like a triathlon shooter,
Yeah.
because that's what he was. Yeah, so but Airborne's art was the first figure I bought based strictly on the art. I thought it was such a cool action pose. All the other guys are kind of in semi-action poses, but Airborne is straight up coming out of a helicopter, hitting the ground. This just looks so cool. And it's hard for me to see anything that happened after that, any art that happens after that of somebody rappelling a rope, that I don't come right back to this. The rope is like wrapping around his leg. Like there's all these details to this picture that are so good. Um, clearly Hector wasn't up to speed on weapons,
Yeah, pretty goofy.
but this looks so good. Airborne Space, even he doesn't look like your standard white guy, because he is from Native American descent.
Right.
So even that, like that shows through in this image. Like he doesn't look like all the other GI Joes. You know what I mean? So this really spoke to me as a kid, and I know this one is out there. And if you guys have seen any of this art, like up close and personal, it is beautiful. It's usually gouache on a plastic film sometimes. And some of them, I know that Torpedo's art backlights a little bit, so having a piece of original art, this would be the one if I had to pick one. Obviously, Flint would be my favorite,
Right.
but painted over it to do the Tiger Force version, so the original art is gone.
Yeah.
But Airborne, to have prints are great. I would love to have prints of any of those things in poster size, but this is the one for me. Like if I was going to pick one piece of art, there's lots of other art that I love, lots of other things that I love, but GI Joe is the core for me.
Right.
That's the thing, and it would be Airborne.
It's crazy knowing how many original pieces got painted over. Like Grunt was gone because you got Dusty painted
Right.
right over that. Flint was gone to do the repaint for Tiger Force, like because none of that meant anything back then. Like now we think about, oh yeah, we want to we want to catalog all this stuff and have it for reference later. And but back then it was just once it was printed onto the card art or a pencil bag, they were like, all right, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Move on.
and that happened a lot, you know. And there's other art, you know, I could think of from that line. I've recently, and Mikey, I mean, some of you know why. Like, I recently decided that I'm going to start kind of pushing Night Raven collectible, you know, related stuff. So clearly, the Night Raven is one of my favorite GI Joe planes. So that is one that would be pretty cool to have. I love the artwork for the Moray.
Oh yeah.
But just character art that I feel is dynamic and cool. Airborne is the king for me. Um, the emotion of the character, everything about him fits his file card. It fits how he should look. And this is a solid figure. One of my favorite figures from the line as far as just sculpt, detail, and you know, that sort of thing. So that's
Airborne
my pick.
was a big enough influence that it even made its way into Call Sign Longbow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Joseph says would love some early Motu comic art that came with those original figures or sketch designs.
Oh, for sure.
There is some really. I'm not even a Motu guy, and there's some really great art in there, no question about it.
Really good art.
Zakane says original Simon Bisley Lobo #1 cover is what he'd lose his mind over. That makes sense for Zach. Ryan says got to meet Simon a couple times. He is an absolute nut. Yeah, Cooter says like the muscle cars. They were just cars, man. At some point, they didn't mean anything, and they didn't mean anything for several years after.
Right.
Yeah, the dynamics of the Airborne art was always very unique to that.
It really is.
One of the better ones for sure. One of the best.
And you know what I like about it, and also will say this, is that it wouldn't easily be like used in a group picture. Like, it is specific to him, to his look. You know, I just love it. I just think it's a really cool piece.
All right.
Mikey's so excited he has to hide himself because he's.
I'm just beaming with glee. All right. So my art is Alex Ross Evolution.
Oh my god, that is a cool thing.
Alex Ross is I've probably said this 30 fucking times since I've been on YouTube. Alex Ross is my favorite. Something clicked when I saw him when I was a kid, seeing comic book people drawn like they were real. It makes it almost tangible, like brings that aspect of realism to it. I love so much of Alex Ross's art, and while he's primarily known for DC, his Marvel stuff is just as good. It's not quite as believable. Somehow the DC stuff has a more realistic feel to it. But this is one of the coolest. I mean, it's this combination of the changing of the guard across the X-Men. You know, you've got the first class up there, you know, and then you've got the, you know, the second, you know, the Uncanny X-Men, you know, the Claremont X-Men.
Maybe you could get him to commission this and change it so that Kamala Khan's in there.
Perfect.
I kept a straight face as long as I could.
Yeah, you done good. So yeah, and so like even in this, it looks like Colossus just threw Wolverine.
Yeah, he does.
And then you've got 3 Sentinels. I love everything about it. I think it's awesome. And then you've even got some of the Jim Lee stuffs in there too. Like you've got Bishop, you've got Jubilee, uh, Psylocke, Gambit. It's everything I love about the X-Men.
And Magneto.
And Magneto. It's awesome. It's just awesome. Yeah, if I could, someday I would like to have this print, but if I could have an original, that would be the coolest shit ever. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So good.
Very cool.
I love looking at this picture. Yeah, it's not that crazy, you know. Framed, it's 365, but I think unframed, I think it was like 180 or something.
Yeah, definitely one that's attainable.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't pale compared to having an original Alex Ross, right?
Right.
You know, I mean that. You know, I personally would love a Magog. Alex Ross.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
But you know,
he does that one. He does Magog some justice for sure.
He does, and it's his pure hatred for characters like Cable that makes Magog so perfect.
Absolutely. Doing just titans of art. Yeah, man. Could totally agree. Alex Ross is just amazing. His stuff had this realistic look that had never been done before. He brought a classic art style to comics that's rarely been matched. Yeah, and he's one of the people that, like, I love listening to him talk about it. I love listening to him tell his process and all that stuff. I growing up, I took a lot of his stuff to heart. Like when he would have an article in a Wizard or something, I loved reading those, like, because he was. I looked up to his art, and that's not the art that I have. Like that's not my style or anything. It's just his brought this realistic, vibe to it, and like a true feeling to it. Not that, Simonson or Jim Lee couldn't emote feeling with comic book art. It's just it being realistic puts it into perspective, I think, is what part of it is. But I've talked about it several times, but he had this article where he talked about he works on lots of things at the same time, and he will set something aside and not pay any attention to it for, months. And then he'll bring it back out, and he'll be able to see, issues or something, because when you're in a project, when you're in a drawing, you're in a painting, your mind starts filling in the blanks, and you'll do something that while you're in it, you're like, yep, that's perfect. And you're going right along with it. But if you're able to take a step back or turn it upside down, or, flip it over and run it through a light box, reverse it, your brain sees it from the other ways, and you can kind of pick out your flaws. Alex Ross was the first one that I remember saying, like, just walk away from it. Dad's thing was always turn it upside down or flip it over and look at it from, make the other side of your brain look at it. But yeah, Alex Ross will always mean something special to me as an artist. So I think that's why I pick an Alex Ross piece, is because his art means so much to me. But I love this evolution piece. It's just so cool to me.
Very good. Very good. Oh God, this one. This one should not be so easy.
Comic book. Yes.
Because I can't tell you how many times I have seen this book at a price I probably could have afforded at the time. I didn't get it. But I love it. I have a reprint of it that I keep in a sleeve, just because it's like close as I'll ever get, probably. And this isn't the only one. There are other books that I would love to have the first issue of.
Sure.
But this one's the one for me. This one's the one. Same to you, Max. Same to you, buddy.
Yeah, Menjoza for sure. The original Kirby stuff is great, especially if it's like his Eternals, where he really goes like crazy on the cosmic stuff. Oh, yes, 129. Oh God.
Amazing Spider-Man 129, the first appearance of the Punisher.
So cool. So cool.
So this is just a
Morning,
little,
JB.
like a little about when I was a kid. Like I didn't get introduced to comic books till a little later in life, and it was started out with Rawhide Kid and the original Ghost Rider and stuff like that. My cousin had tons of those, and then Sergeant Rock, the Unknown Soldier, and the one that changed it for me was Swamp Thing, and I also got a run of ROM Space Knight at that time. So I was more brought into some of the more obscure stuff, and then but what was, because my grandparents were like garage sale, like that was their lifestyle. They literally went to garage sales, bought stuff, sold it at garage sales, and did that over and over. So I had a very easy access to the Mac Bolan Executioner book series. Absolutely loved it, man. Mac Bolan was so awesome.
That's
to
who
find out later,
the Punisher was based on.
Yeah, I had to find out later, and so I was like, okay, well that's cool. I think I read it in like an unusual a magazine that normally didn't do comic book stuff, but it was talking about literature, and it had talked about how the Punisher was based on Mac Bolan. So then I started like looking into the Punisher, and this was back when you could get the Punisher magazine, which was a larger print like Conan the Barbarian, black and white. And back then they could do more R-rated stuff as long as they kept it black and white, because that made it a magazine and not a comic book, because the AFA was all over their ass on a full color comic book in that comic book scale. When they made it a magazine, it could be much more adult, much more violent. So that was my introduction to Punisher. I started picking up Punisher magazines, and then I found out that, oh no, he's mainstream. This is before the internet. So I lived in a little town that had a soda shop, and I could buy a comic book at the soda shop, but I didn't have like access to like knowledge of comics or any of that. And when I moved down here, I got a little older, and I went to Clint's comic book shop in Kansas City, and I saw Mike Zeck. They had like 3 different Punisher Mike Zeck posters, and I was just like, okay. They had the one where he's got the gun and the target in the background with the blood coming out of the headshot. Mm-hmm. They had that one. They had the one where he had the 2 guns down at his side. And I was just like, okay. So I asked the guy at the comic shop, like, where do I start? And he said, well, and they had this comic book, and I think it was $50.
Oh my God.
And I remember thinking, he said, well, this is exactly where it starts in the comic books, in the Marvel. This is how it was brought into the mainstream, was through this comic. And at that time, this is a long time ago. $50 was no. Like there was no. I mean, it's just no.
Yeah.
So he set me up with. He said, or we can spend $50 and I can get. I'll help you pick out like some of the best books you can get. He was a huge Punisher fan. So he walked me through and got me a bundle of $50 worth of Punisher books to take home and read. And so that's what I did. And I'll never forget that, because I've seen this comic several times. I remember it one time at a comic book shop that I frequented all the time. He got a copy of it, and he was running a special, $129 for issue 129.
Oh my God.
And I almost bought it then. I was like, oh God. And he's like, he said, I'll put it back for you and you can make payments on it. And I was like, I make payments on a car, dude. I'm not going to make payments on a car. That was back when I had some sense. So anyway, so this book was like, it's like that thing that you chase, throughout your life. Like you see it here and you don't do it. You see it here and you don't do it. And then now it's a much more expensive book. I would just love to have a copy of it. I'm not super big on condition, to me, like I don't need a graded 9 or anything like that. Just to have a copy of this. In fact, I'd probably like it better if it had some little kid's name scrawled across it, like where this is mine. I don't want my brother to get it, so I wrote
some sort of wax pin on it.
Yeah. I don't care because a lot of people, I don't talk about this much, but on vintage toys, especially Star Wars toys, I absolutely love finding one where someone has put their initials on the bottom. I love that. I love, 'cause that's shit I did. I did that too. You know, 'cause my brother was a dick, and you know, he would take my stuff and say that no, I got that for Christmas. Like he would like create this entire lie about why that was his toy and not mine. So I would, I would have to put a John on it because his name also started with J. So I couldn't just put JK. I had to put John. And most of that stuff's long gone, but I always think about that when I go to a garage sale and I find a dewback or a wampa, which are my two like kind of favorite like things to find at garage sales, and they've got somebody's initials on the bottom. I just think that's cool. I actually found a dewback one time where this kid had put an M on all 4 feet. Like I was like, this kid had serious OCD, man. He's like, nobody's taking this from me. I'm putting my initial on every leg on this thing.
That's pretty great.
So when I talk about vintage toys, and like I like that kind of stuff. I liked it that it didn't just come from some guy bought a collection and kept it in a box his whole life. That's cool. And as a collector, it's awesome to find something that has a really good box and inserts and oh man, that's cool. But man, just finding something that has the visceral like feel of this kid was like me, or like that. I love that kind of stuff, and I have seen comic books where the guy's like, it's probably not worth anything because somebody wrote on it, and I was like, still worth something. It's still the
Yeah.
same book.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the reprint that I have of it is in perfect condition, you know. But then that's just it. Like you get upgraded comic, and it's like, well, I don't even want to touch it.
Right.
What's the point of a comic book if you don't touch it? You don't read it.
Yeah, but this one goes to 11.
So yeah, so this is my comic that I would really like to get, and not something I could get easily right now. Right now I can't even keep up with GI Joe Classified. So so this is my comic that I would like to.
It's hard to argue with that one. I know, Alpha. It's pretty.
I was really worried that
pretty
was
shocking.
I was really worried that was going to be your pick.
Well, as cool as it is, it's pretty derpy, and when there's no nostalgia for it, and I have the Mark II, which I think is a better design. It's an improved design. However, the swordfish, there is no modern version of that. Or the sea lion. The sea lion. There's swordfish. I have swordfish. I have swordfish. The sea lion, that's a diving capsule. That's way cooler. And it's got the small vehicle attached to it, which I think, as far as GI Joe and GI Joe adjacent, that's a hallmark of a badass toy, is having some kind of recon vehicle. Sea lion.
And Action Force was really good about that, making they reuse tooling a lot, and
very
sometimes
cleverly.
you can tell, and sometimes you can't. But when you have the toys and you start looking at them, you're like, holy shit, that's the same.
I almost picked the Cosmic Cruiser, and that one is one of the most clever reuses of anything they ever did in my book.
Like, yeah, I love.
You don't see that's a total remake. Like they just put stuff on it. It's so cool.
Yeah, they added the top, and they
so for cool. Sure. And it's a cool looking vehicle. It doesn't look like it's cobbled together.
No, it does.
I love it.
And it really looks like the I think I can't remember what the Action Man name of that vehicle was. That they have a spaceship, and it looks like the Cosmic Cruiser. And I think that was what they were trying to do. They were trying to like homage that,
Yeah.
So yeah, the Cosmic Cruiser is great, but the Sea Lion is king.
I hate to hear that, Joseph.
I'm not sure if that's better or worse than my mom sold them when I went to summer camp.
That also is
equally tragic.
Awful. Jerks a savage sword.
Mikey, what's your comic?
My comic. Giant size X-Men annual
I knew
number
it.
1.
Good lord.
It is, man. It is. Again, The cover is the changing of the guard, which I find so cool.
Yeah, I love the juxtaposition, right?
I fucking love it. And this has become one of the most iconic covers in comic history. Like, to this day, there are still covers that homage this cover. Same with Amazing Spider-Man 129. Still, both of them are so prevalent in not only collector space, but the biz.
Well, even not just the biz, right? Like issue 129 of Amazing Spider-Man, there's a movie, I can't remember, it was in the 90s, where I think somebody bought our friend that. Merry Christmas, Tony.
That is Coyote Ugly.
That is Coyote Ugly. Yeah,
it's Coyote Ugly.
Sorry, I had to admit I've seen that movie. But yeah, like that's even prevalent there. Like mine for that book for me though, it was the chase, right? Like seeing it early on, like I had a chance to get it for $50, and now it's like not $50. Yeah, but this is an excellent pick. This is gorgeous.
You know, it's bad if Mom can call me out for it.
Well, it's true.
It is true. It is true. I am very predictable when it comes to that kind of stuff. But
I remember when we used to watch X-Men all the time, you know, and I think that probably formed a lot of that for you.
For sure. For sure.
Just watching the original X-Men series.
Yeah, it did. I mean, you know, and then later I would, you know, realize like Sunbow GI Joe, like this is actually pretty stupid. Now, I think X-Men did a better job adapting and pitching to a younger audience than Sunbow. The Sunbow really didn't pay any attention to comic books at all.
No.
Whereas X-Men did, they just tweaked it.
Yeah, they were trying to follow a storyline that existed, whereas Sunbow just kind of like, hey, these guys are all just regular guys, but they just happen to be dressed like military guys.
Yeah, Gung-Ho can fly an F-14 Tomcat.
Absolutely.
No problem.
Hell, anybody can.
Anybody can.
Anybody can. Gung-Ho can. This firefighter, this guy Barbecue, he can fly an F-14.
You bet. Yeah.
He can fly anything, honestly.
Absolutely.
We actually have space guys, but we're going to send guys to space that have no reason to be in space.
Don't need to be in space. Yeah. You're a desert warfare specialty. You don't need to be in space.
But it sold toys. It sold toys to an audience that wasn't reading comics.
Boy, did it. Boy, did it. And I can't say same with just like X-Men. It definitely got me into it. And then I dove deeper in. But yeah. I know. No surprise, but this is my pick. There is a store in Liberty that has one, and I want to say it's about $3,500. And it's in decent shape. It looks like I'm 4 feet away from it when I look at it behind the counter.
Now, do you have a reprint of this?
I don't. I haven't bought the facsimile edition of it. I plan to, but I haven't. I haven't seen one in person to buy it, and I haven't.
My thing, and this is just me because like I have all this vintage stuff behind me, these boxes and stuff, and people are always like, "Well, if you sold your collection, you could make all this money." Well, I'm going to tell you about my collection. It's literally empty boxes that are cool.
Yeah.
I have a complete Starbird. I have a mostly complete Avenger, like this one behind me here.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, Junkyard can fly one by itself. We have 2-seater airplanes, but there's no reason to because the dog can fly the Sky Striker.
Yeah, he's got
anybody, like literally anybody. They could have got one of the kids from the PSAs probably to come in with their lollipops and shit and fly the Sky Striker.
Sure, no problem.
So for me, a lot of it is the look and feel. I do slowly upgrade the collection. These guys over here, my Fisher Price Adventure People stuff. Like I have tubs of the vehicles, I have tubs of the toys, and slowly I have gotten boxes, and I've gotten these blue trays that hold these things have just deteriorated over the years. So I may buy one that the vehicle itself is junk and the box looks like shit, but the tray is good. And I just slowly start upgrading them with just pieces and parts. I have another I have another box for the for this guy. I have another box that is just slightly worse than this one, but the thing is the blue plastic is totally gone out of it. That's a decent box, so that's what happens. So you end up with a couple of different boxes that are in different phases. But I liked it. I like the presentation of them. The art that they did for these things is really cool, but they didn't present it on the front. They decided to present the vehicle in the package on some of these. Some they didn't, but these I really love these vehicles and things like that, like the Starbird, the base. The base is really cool. This is a classic deal where you actually show a kid playing with the base and the Starbird's parked on it. It's just a big cardboard base. It comes with little astronauts, little white army men sized astronauts. It's just it's a cool set. And like we talked about, I think a couple weeks ago, the Milton Bradley line. Like they did like this whole line of them where they just kept reusing parts and stuff and making cool stuff. And they really just did a handful of them. But the art is cool. It reminds me of a time a long time ago. It just reminds me of a different time when you walk into a toy store and the art on the box could sell you kind of like a cover on a comic book. You've talked about this before. Like, I don't really know what's inside of this thing, but this cover looks so cool. I want it,
Yeah.
And same with these guys. The nice thing about the Starbird line, that entire line that they did, was that they are cool. They're fun to play with. No figure fits in them. There's nothing like that. But just as a cool vehicle, you can, pretend to fly around the house and irritate other people by making, the laser gun noises and all that. It's great for that. So lots of feels there, right? And that's kind of what I have reduced things to. Is I have a lot of stuff that's going to go on the shelf behind me, but I also have these boxes, and it's silly, but Mikey last year, the year before, bought me a Stomper set in a box. It's right there. There's the Mobile Force Convoy with the half track in it. The half track isn't in it, but the box looks really cool. It's one of the few Shaper things that I have in a package. I have several Stompers. I have some up here on the shelf above me that you can't see in the view. And I like Stompers. They were a lot of fun when I was a kid. That was something that for me, like the neighborhood kids, like there were some kids that didn't like GI Joe. There were some kids that didn't like this. But for a brief period of time, like everybody would put a Stomper in their pocket to go to school and play on the playground with a Stomper of some kind, even if it was the cheap version. And I remember we would change wheels, trade off the tires, and it was just fun. It was a small piece of time, but it was one of those toys that like everybody else liked and thought was cool, and everybody wanted one. Even if you had one of the Trans Ams with the shifter on top, so Stompers hold a place, but I don't like chase every Stomper. I only have a couple, that I really like, and that's how I go. I'm saying that because I'm going to lead into childhood toy. It's not a Stomper. This is something that is honestly a terrible toy. But it looks really cool, and it matches the time. For me, the Big Chap Alien from the movie Alien is one I always wanted. I had a friend of mine, her mom was kind of a garage sale lady, and she had one with a box. I always loved it. But in that same time, this guy came out. I had an opportunity at a garage sale with my mom, and it was $25. And you're not going to spend $25 at a garage sale. Are you crazy?
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
So I am going to share this. Mikey and I were recently at a shop there in Kansas City that had one of these, but it was sold, and he was trying to get the pieces together to sell it, to have a complete one to sell to the guy. I think he was working on the electronics side of it. I don't know if you remember this, Mikey, but you probably will. This is a terrible toy.
That is a terrible toy, but it is so perfect for it. Yeah.
But it is so, like, it represents a time when they were so desperate to put electronics in toys. Like, because there was this even Radio Shack, like they'd have like 4 or 5 toys that were electronic or motorized or something. Um, so ROM Space Knight, like I said, when I was a kid, I got a run of this comic at a garage sale. I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was really cool. I thought that the enemies, the dire wraiths, were absolutely terrifying villains. So I really wanted one of these. Like it is cheesy, and it is. I remember the commercials for these where they were talking about the gun and like showing the kid like going forward with it, like it was actually somehow moving him forward, making the electronic noise. I just thought one of these would be really cool. I still would love to have one of these on my shelf. It's large. It's a pretty large figure. It's closer probably to 18 inches, 16 or 18. I can't remember now, but I remember it came out about the same time as the Alien Big Chap. So it was like there were times when I would go to a store when I was a kid and I would see both of them on the shelf, you know. But the ROM is the one that it kind of fits my space aesthetic that I like to push, and it's just kind of a generally cool toy. And when Marvel Legends came out with the ROM this year, not only is he one of the better figures that they've done, but it's like a perfect representation of what ROM looked like in the comic and how he, you know. So yeah, having this would be awesome, just because of this is where it started. You know, this was how they started all of it. But yeah, you know, I am very happy with my Marvel Legends ROM. This would just be one of those pieces from my childhood that I would love to have.
Solid. It's cool. Yeah, I actually considered Big Chap as my vintage toy because I think that's
Yeah, it was between these two, and like I said, there were times in my childhood I saw both of them at the same time, and thought they were both equally cool.
I actually continue on with the aliens.
Joseph, that's awesome.
Lost it twice. That's amazing. For my pick, I almost picked something that you had when I was a kid that I always thought was so incredibly cool, and that was the 12-inch xenomorph that had this rubbery skin. It was on a GI Joe body.
Oh,
Some
the
kind of
Metacom.
import. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea what it was. I couldn't find it, and I was like, all right, I'll move on. That is what it was going to be on my pick because I have no idea what it was, but I fucking
I'll look.
Amazing.
I will look, Mikey, and if I have that Metacom alien, you can have it.
Oh, you heard it here first. That's a verbal contract.
Because I have the first Hot Toys one.
Oh,
I got
so
it
cool.
I got it for a really good deal because its leg got broken, and it's awesome and it's rubbery. But that Metacom one is so cool because it just slides
so
all the
amazing.
pieces slide over a body,
Yeah.
which is funny because the original Big Chap in the movie was a suit that a guy wore.
Yes.
You know, so why not? You know, but yeah, I think I still have that. It's in the Metacom box with the Django and Boba Fett. So let me see if I can. You can have it.
That's amazing. Yeah, I remember that thing, and I thought that thing was so cool, and I couldn't play with it because it really wasn't a good kid's toy. It'd fall apart. The hands would pull out of it, and then the arm would fall off, and
which is
he wasn't good to play with, but
because that was going to be my movie like prop memorabilia thing that I
me
was
too. Yeah, I had a lot of
original
alien stuff on mine.
But there isn't one in existence that still has the hands. Like all of the original movie versions of them, the hands were rotted up because they were latex. So all the ones you see like don't have hands. Like I don't want one with no fucking hands. Screw that. You know. Alfendo, it is legally binding, but you don't need that. If I find it, it is. I didn't know he liked it that much. I would happily give that up.
I love that thing. I think part of it was
that's the other problem is he's tiny because the Metacom bodies are a little smaller already than typical 12-inch. They're a true 1/6 scale, so they're more like a 5.5 foot guy.
Right.
So he's tiny, but it poses really good, and it just
shines. He's all shiny and everything.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool.
I loved it.
Mother Slug, we are at our, we are getting ready for our number 9. Or no, Mikey's got to tell what his
Childhood favorite.
childhood toy. So we're about, we're a little over halfway through the list.
We'll pass.
So let's see it, Mikey. What do you got?
All right. So I love this. I've looked at it and considered buying it at a couple of shows. It's just at that point where it's just too expensive for what it is. And that's the Joe versus Cobra Conquest. I remember getting this. I loved it. I love the camo on it. I love the colors. I love that they use like Ace V3 instead of Slipstream. Like everything about this is awesome except for the thing that makes sound. But even the way they did that isn't like offensive. Like it's not ridiculous. It's passable on there. I love this thing. I always have. I love the colors because it's like like it does not look like this card art, by the way. it's like a cream, light gray, and teal, like a dark teal. And I think it's fucking sick. The cockpit is smoked like that. It's so badass.
Because it's
it's not like ungodly expensive. It's not crazy expensive. It's just for what it is, I have a hard time justifying the price. Because I want to say the price is like $200.
Yeah. It's almost $200
so
just a complete one.
Yeah, just a Lucy. Just a Lucy, not even in the box.
Crazy green box.
And I wouldn't even care about that. I literally just want the plane because I don't think this box doesn't do it justice. But yeah.
Well, the Conquest is one of my favorite GI Joe vehicles. Not just for there's a lot of reasons, but the main reason for me, and this is crazy as a 54-year-old man, but is the playability of it because it's small enough. Like, okay, like I wasn't joking earlier when I said you would go around the house irritating everybody flying the plane around. And I'm going to tell you what's funny about that is if I got anything like this for Christmas, my dad would taunt me with it before he gave it to me by flying it around the house and making helicopter noises. And my dad's favorite thing was making noises. Yeah. I picked up that skill because like I would notice like if I'm cleaning and there's a crutch, I will pick it up and make ack noises with it because that's what he would do. All right. So the Conquest was a plane that Jake and I, my brother, could literally, have the Conquest and the Rattler like chasing each other around, holding them in our hands and flying them around and stuff. The Sky Striker is just a little too big for that.
Same with the Night Raven. Like it's a two-hander. You have to two-hand it.
But the Conquest, the Rattler, that size of an airplane, even though this is terribly out of scale to what an X-30 would be if it was a real plane, but that's part of the playability of GI Joe. The Rattler, honestly, is way too small for what an A10 in that scale is, and you can see that from the Blue Box toys. The Blue Box F-14 is massive. The Blue Box, and even the cheap version of the A10, you can still get sometimes from, was it Elite Force, I think? Is that who did it, or was it one of the cheap companies?
No, Elite Force was the Blue Box.
Yeah, but okay, so
World Peacekeepers.
Yeah, that's the there's a scale A10 out there, pretty close, much closer to scale.
Yeah.
But the GI Joe guys, they were like, no, we can't get too big because this is something they may want to throw in their overnight suitcase to go on a trip.
Sure. And it's a kid, like small hands. You need a plane that fits, a kid. You don't want a actual F-14 Tomcat. Good Lord. The Conquest is like the design of it is awesome. The design of, the X planes in general, just as like, aviation history are incredibly cool. So the fact that they picked the one that's got all of the different like wings at different angles, and it looks so cool. But then when they redid it, because I did not have an original Conquest, I did not have a Python Patrol Conquest, I had this one because this one we went to Toys R Us. I'm pretty sure it was on my birthday, and we bought this and the little whatever the version of it was a bomber. It was like an F-117, but it was the small. It was a GI Joe version of it.
I
It was
remember
bright.
that.
It was red. It was red. But it was F-117 Nighthawk. But yeah, I love this thing. Someday I'll probably pick this up. But yeah, this is my pick. Kind of an odd one. It took me a long time because I was really trying to think about stuff, and then I remembered this one. I was like, I've actually considered buying it a couple of times at shows.
I have too, because I've seen it. I really love this version of it. I love the colorway. I love the
It's so good.
And you were talking about the clip-on gun. If you don't like it, you really can take it off and put a missile there. It didn't come with a missile to put there, but you can put a missile there. And
Oh yeah.
you can load it out like the classic one. But when they were doing spy troops and that stuff, they were having some elements of sci-fi, and that giant gun on the side is actually one of the more, like, you could see, like, in that situation that might be something you would do. It looked like a realistic, like, okay, this is they're trying to mount this massive gun on a plane. This is where they would mount it. It's not obscene like some of the other weapons in that series that really shot or made noise.
Yeah.
So, all right, so slide out of the pop culture world as far as toys and comics go, right?
Right. Here is the actual.
Yeah.
Just so I
Great.
show actual design, how it really looks. That's it. Tell me that's not fucking cool as hell. But anyway,
it's awesome.
It's cool.
And you can see in that picture, like, the big gun on the side isn't that bad.
Yeah, it's really not. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. So we are at music memorabilia.
Okay, this is tough for me. So I'm not an instrument guy.
It's tough. This is a tough question.
So
I struggle.
So what Mikey and I joked around about what it could be. Like, maybe it's someone's axe, something like that. But there is one musician that I feel is above all others, and he was iconic for something that he wore, and it was an accident why he wore it.
This is a good pick.
So what I would like to have, I'll pull this up. I'm sure somewhere I could get this. Okay, I'm not saying it's not available, but this would be, to me, the ultimate, like, piece of memorabilia for me would be to have a pair of Roy Orbison sunglasses. He wore a lot of them over the years, so it's not like there's one iconic one. But Roy, it's not because Roy had bad eyesight. He got to a gig and his regular glasses were broken, and he could not see very well without them, and all he had was his prescription sunglasses, and so he wore them, and that became his like look. Like, Roy Orbison always had sunglasses, uh, and he always wore them after that on every show, every appearance. You rarely saw him without him. There are a few interviews where he doesn't have sunglasses on, where he has his regular glasses on, but for the most part, this was iconic to Roy Orbison, and like Roy Orbison to me is like one of the greatest singers in modern times.
Underrated, incredible talent musician. The range of Roy Orbison is recognized by musicians all over.
You
rarely talked about.
You can read stories or watch interviews of people that worked with Roy, talking about maybe recording a song, and how everybody was sure it was like, this is not this isn't going to work. Running Scared. The ending of that song, like, is this powerful note, and they were like, this entire song builds up to this note. Roy hits it on the first try. They didn't even do another take. They were just like, well, shit, that's it. Like they were prepared for days in the studio, and he nailed that like in one take. And like the guys in the studio were just amazed by it. But I mean, I could talk about Roy Orbison for hours, obviously. So when I was thinking about it, and Mikey talked about a guitar or something like that, and I thought, no, I would like to have something that is iconic to Roy Orbison. I have several like framed albums. Mikey has done some albums for me. He's done some Rolling Stone magazine covers framed for me. But to have a pair of Roy's glasses, that would be pretty peak.
And be pretty intense, yeah.
So that is my music memorabilia, like ultimate piece of music memorabilia. For me, I don't. Nobody else has to. I don't have to convince anybody else that Roy Orbison was as awesome as I think he is. But that would be it for me. Like I think that'd be pretty damn
cool. Solid pick. Solid pick.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Awesome.
I thought about checking that out sometime. That's pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, that's freaking sweet.
That is true. And that it wasn't. What's great is I don't want to get into this too deep because I don't want to like make this a 4-hour show or anything. But interviews with the other guys at Sun Records, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis,
Carl Perkins.
There is not one of those guys that ever had a bad thing to say about Roy. He was incredibly, he had an ear for a sound. And there's I can't remember the exact song that Elvis was working on, but I remember he came back and he was like, "What'd you think?" And Roy was kind of like, "What if you did this?" And Elvis had said, like, "We tried it and it worked, and so that's how I did it from then on." Johnny Cash has a similar story. Jerry Lee Lewis talked about chords in a song he was kind of working on, and he just went and hollered. One of the other guys was like, "Well, let's go get Roy and have him listen to it." So it was his influence on those guys, is very, it's known in the industry, right? Roy had an ear and he had a voice that could back it up. So yeah, he's iconic. I mean, yeah, shit, yeah, a pair of Carl Perkins blue suede shoes would be cool as hell. But Roy's soft influence on the very beginnings of American rock and roll is known. It's known. It's documented, and I just think it'd be a cool piece. And it goes on a shelf really nice.
And it goes with your Roy Orbison stuff. He's your dude. He's your guy. Yeah, that's a cool pick. I wasn't even thinking about that. That's a really cool pick. I went much more standard. It still took me a long time to choose it, but it is Elvis's Hagstorm Viking 2 from the 68 comeback special. I am a fucking sucker for Gibson semi hollow bodies.
Sure. And this one's fairly affordable.
Red with gold. Yeah, $750,000. That is like the epitome of rock and roll guitars. Before they went to, Flying V's and Explorers and all of that stuff, Gibson is my favorite guitar manufacturer. It took me a long time to come around to Les Pauls. I love Les Pauls, but the Gibson semi hollow body is the most beautiful guitar design in my eyes.
It's gorgeous, and it's a the thing about it is it's got the blend of what would even become the standard for country music artists, right?
Yes.
The design. Yes. So and then one other thing I will say about this guitar is in the comeback special, he's wearing black leather, right? You can see this guitar, whether you're watching it in black and white or color, this guitar juxtaposed against his black outfit just pops, right? Like, so even as a visual thing, like even as, oh my God, I remember that guitar. Like, yeah, you may not have cared about guitars or any of that, but that guitar was as much a part of that show as that black leather suit.
100%. I think that
Perfect,
the one he comes
perfect
out
fit.
first is a full hollow body that's like a yellow sunburst pattern on it, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful guitar. But when he comes out with the red bandana on that matches the guitar, this guitar is this guitar being what it is just as much of a rebranding as the 68 comeback special. When he
Yes, it
came
is.
back with the training that he picked up when he was overseas, when he was hanging out with the Italian opera singer and he was showing him how to use vibrato and how to control it and shaking your hand to get the vibrato. This guitar being a semi hollow body Gibson, which are manufactured in Memphis, Tennessee, by the way, was just as much of a rebranding as Elvis was going for himself. So it's a beautiful guitar on its own, but how it was used, where it was used, and the influence that it took on Elvis's the second half of his career is so cool. Zach, by the way, Goosebumps cam. I just did it to myself. Um, this would be what I would pick, and obviously, $750,000. This is ridiculous, but I could not imagine a cooler piece. There's some cool stuff. I've been to Graceland. I've seen lots of things that would be amazing hanging up. I was almost brought to tears in the room of records. Like it was, and it's an incredibly moving experience. This one piece would be amazing. It took me a long time to pick, because I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan. I love, for sure, brother. We need something. We need some kind of reaction to play when we do it. Um, yeah. So this is my pick. But yeah, it took me a long time because I love Jerry Lee Lewis. You know, um, I love like the Sun Record stuff is incredibly personally cool to me. I also went to Sun Records. I toured the Gibson Semi Hollow Body Factory. I've done some cool shit in Memphis, but um, I thought like a sound deadening panel from the old recording room of Sun Records, signed by the $1 Million Quartet, things like that. But I was like, that doesn't exist though. Like
Right.
this exists. This is a real thing, and that's why I picked this. So well, that would be cool.
That would be hot, dude.
That would
That's
be
a good
pretty
one.
cool.
Mother
I
Slug had this one here. This is cool. This is this is something that
Oh
is
wow,
very attainable uh, when all the stars align, right? So this is one of those things that a regular Joe could probably put together and get done. But that's awesome. That is really
that's a
cool.
cool piece. Very unique. Very unique. Um,
All right.
yes. So number 10, movie memorabilia, which was
Okay.
challenging, if not more.
This was going to be tough, man. Um, my first thought was the Alien franchise.
Yeah, I went right to a pulse rifle.
Yeah, I did too. But then I remembered, like, okay, so for the movie, there's several versions of the pulse rifle. There's the one that they just carried around, and then there's what they call the hero version, which is a version that was fully functional as far as what the viewer sees. So that's what Hicks, when Hudson shoots the alien when they're in that final scene, that crescendo scene where Hudson mans up all of a sudden and he's shooting aliens, and there's that scene where he points his gun down and you see the ticker on the side going
Counter.
down and
Yeah.
he's pulling the trigger. That's a hero rifle. All right. So that means that rifle was fully functional. That is almost where I went. But then I remembered, like, there is a piece that has a very difficult history and how to get one for me, a perfect piece of memorabilia is going to be a piece that was actually used in the movie.
Okay.
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 Memorabilia is memorabilia, but an actual screen used prop, that is something special. So, and I could have, there's a lot of things I could have picked from this movie that would have been just as cool, but this is iconic for me, and it is a screen used
Nice.
1977 E11. Now, why this is difficult
Cool.
is I don't know how much you guys, I'm talking to nerds, right? You probably already know this, but Lucasfilm could not purchase the props. They didn't have the money to buy the props. So they went to a local company and rented the props. So this company built them to this spec. They took Sterling's, added all the pieces onto them, and then rented them to Lucas to use for the movie. So when the movie was over, almost all of those went back to this production company. All right. So this company had them. I believe they still have a few of them. They're difficult to get. I didn't look up the price on these, but this is a screen used E11 blaster from Star Wars. I don't necessarily have to have the one that Luke Skywalker carried. I would just like to have one that was used on screen that we saw in the movie. This blaster, as much as I like the M41 pulse rifle, this blaster is iconic to me in a lot of ways, and it's cool because they are kind of bonded as cousins in that they are based on a World War II weapon, and then they just added stuff to it to make it look like something different. The M41 based on a Thompson machine gun, the E11 based on a Sterling. So, and this is also an example of Star Wars taking a real world item, adding a bunch of greebles to it, and turning it into a space gun, which was very, very popular. Han Solo's blaster would be another one, but I'm a stormtrooper guy. I'm a army guy. I like I like the clone trooper stuff like that. So this is it for me. This would be if I had to pick one, because this is what we're saying here. We have to pick one. And I feel like honestly, enough people do the crazy stuff with the with 3D printing and stuff. I could probably get one of these. I probably have one somewhere in pieces that's resin that I could put together.
You do.
And then I have Boba Fett's gun in resin that I could put together. Like you could build props. The M41 is very, very, there are very readily available 3D files out there to print the parts to make one of those. But the E11, to have one that was really a Sterling, a deactivated Sterling used on screen, that is my pick.
Great pick. Yeah, I struggled with this one. I think more than any other topic was the movie, because there's so many movie props that I think are cool because movies were such a big part of my life.
Yeah, because you think about Terminator, the long slide 45, right?
Sure.
That is completely iconic. It's in the movie poster.
Yep.
He uses it in the movie. He uses it with deadly precision. As a Kanan talked about Dutch's grenade launcher. I would also say that in Terminator, Terminator uses an Armalite AR-10 without the rail on it. He uses that in the police scene, the SPAS 12 shotgun, iconic guns, but they're the guns straight off the shelf, right? So I wanted to pick something that would be not only unique, but unique to that movie and still so grounded in reality because it's literally something that existed. Like you could probably have one of these E11s non-decommissioned to fire bullets,
Sure.
Anyway, that was kind of in my head. I just kept trying to narrow down what my, how I would pick this thing that I'm going to display. So that's how I got there. I can't wait to see what you got.
It makes sense. Yeah, I like I said, the first thing I went to was Alien's pulse rifle, and then then I was thinking the severed torso of the T-800 skeleton as it dies, in in the press. Like there was lots of things that I went through, and I'm like, whatever prop I have, it would have to be something that represents one of my favorite movies. And while I love Terminator and I love Aliens, they are not my favorite movies. So then I had to deep dive into really what are my favorite movies. And what I came up with is not a movie prop, although I really wanted it to be. There was no one thing from this movie that would mean it would summarize the whole movie. There's lots of cool shit, but nothing that is so tombstone poster with just everybody's signature on it, because this movie has so many of my favorite actors and actors that became favorite actors from this movie. This is one of those movies that I can watch. I could watch it over and over. You know, I could watch it 2 or 3 times in a row. I absolutely love this movie. It's one of the most quotable movies. Like, it has Kurt Russell, which if I was gonna do something, it had to have Kurt Russell. And there's really nothing iconic about Tango and Cash. So
The truck.
I don't want the truck. It's the shitty OSB Chevy. I don't need that shit. But this, a fairly realistic goal. I would just have to get, I mean, not anymore. Like I now not so much, but these posters exist. I mean, this one has a couple of signatures right on it, but more even than the four, you know, the Earp brothers and Doc. I mean, the Cowboys too. Like I would want like everybody's. So that
Yeah, I
was,
mean, look at that.
was
Like, right? Booth, you know, he was in Red Dawn, you know, he's in this movie. Michael
Yep.
Biehn, obviously a god among men when it comes to
Yep.
action star heroes.
Yep.
Even the Lang, right? Is that his name? The one that plays in Avatar?
Yeah, I'll cut your goddamn face off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though he plays a terrible rendition of a real life person, but
He that is the worst part of that movie, because that has nothing
Billy
to do with
Bob Thornton is in this movie.
Billy Bob Thornton's in the movie, yeah.
Chunky Billy Bob Thornton. So
OG
yeah,
Billy Bob.
this movie is honestly one of the best movies ever. Even though it is, I always hear when I talk about it, people are like, it's really totally historically inaccurate. Well, dude, so is Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, it happened a long time ago. The story's lost. Luke Skywalker probably wasn't even the hero. It was probably some guy named Joe Schmo. You know, it's been rewritten to make Luke Skywalker look like some kind of hero, just like
Yeah.
Kurt Russell is, you know, as Wyatt Earp. You know, so uh, I don't, I didn't. This movie isn't a historical accurate piece for me. This movie is just a killer. At the time, action movies were big. Take action movies, make them into a western, and this is what you get. And you get all these different people that play all these characters that actually are in movies that you freaking love.
Icons.
Yeah,
Absolute icons.
you know, and you know, as crazy as it is, like I was talking about Stephen Lang a while ago, like his character in Avatar is actually my favorite character in that movie because he's the most realistic, honest depiction of a character in the movie, right? And he doesn't have a hero complex. You know, he doesn't have any of that. He's the villain in the movie because you know colonization, blah blah. But he's real. Like I believed that guy was like literally in charge of this shit. Like he was running the show. You know, he said Powers Booth was, you know, Red Dawn. He's one of my. He's just you love the guy in Red Dawn because he's such a down to earth dude. You know.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he's like, "How the hell are these kids doing this?" And then he helps them. You know. It's you know. So yeah, this is a great choice, Mikey. This would be having all those because of all those people having
Yes.
all of their signatures
Yes.
would just be
On the one movie they were all in together.
yeah.
That, I mean, I've always
Great choice.
Tombstone's been a love of mine for a long time. So yeah, that's my pick.
So I do want to hit a comment here. Mother Slug, you said it's not this one. Here we go.
That is a good point, though.
This car is one of at a time at a time when every company was trying to make a supercar, right? Dodge comes out with this M4S, and it's literally powered by a 4-cylinder turbo.
Don't talk shit about Carroll Shelby's 4-cylinder turbos.
But everybody else is like chasing V12, V20, 26,
Right.
or whatever the hell. And Dodge is like, yeah, but we've got this 300 horsepower turbo.
Yeah.
Obviously, the power plant in the movie was a little more mythical. But a fun fact about this car is when you see a picture of this car, it looks brown. All right. It's black, but it has so much clear lacquer on it that when the sun hits that black metallic, it shines through as brown. So when you see a picture of this car, it looks brown. You're like, why would you pick that? Everybody's doing like red, white, these super cars, the NSX, was coming out at that time. The Pontiac Banshee, the Corvette Stingray 3, all these like badass cars. And here's this M4X that actually looks like something that they could have probably built. Like
very much so. Yeah.
It's a cool car. It is so cool. This is I had to say something, Mother Slug, because you've been very engaged in the chat, and this is such a near and dear thing to me. Wraith has always been one of my favorite movies.
Great movie.
And it's not because it's
goofy
Mopars. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's mostly there's a pretty cool Corvette in there for a shittier Corvette. Great Trans Am. Like there's some good shit in there.
But it's a movie that one of the villains drives a Barracuda before there were Cudas.
Yeah, the Valiant.
You don't see that very often. Most of the cop cars were Cornettes or Furies or Randy Quaid's in it. So yeah, I just had to say something. I love that car, and that would be an excellent pick. That would be an excellent pick for just.
And it would be something if you had it and you drove it around, nobody would know what the fuck.
Nobody would know what it was.
It'd be so fun. They'd think it was a kit car or something else, but yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Very, very much so.
Other than the engine, other than the turbo, those engines, you can get 200,000 miles out of them easy. So, let's see here. It's going to look here and see if there's any
other. So the next topic is vintage collectible. Now I know Dad and I went the same direction with this.
We did, dude.
It wasn't intended that way.
It wasn't. And I immediately started thinking about old cars, right? Yeah. And I had to think like, okay, but Mother Slug, has made that comment like you'd want to drive it, you want a car you can drive. Absolutely, because of my past affiliations with kit car companies, a Shelby Cobra would be the ultimate like choice. But my thing about a Cobra is, number one, I would not want it built as it was built in 1965. I would want one that was modernized with modern suspension, dual overhead cam, dock 4.6 or 5.4, in a supercharger. Like the one that I got to drive when I worked for that company, that's what it was. Cut an 11-second quarter. You could pull the front end off the ground in second gear. A lot of fun to drive, but it has zero practicality, right? It is something you had to constantly mess with and adjust. You drive it, and then the mechanic would take a look at it and make little adjustments here and there. And if you had a 427 or a 289 Cobra, you would run into the same things. Also, you couldn't drive it in any sort of inclement weather condition. I remember when the first time I ever took that car to a car show, the boss set me down, and he's like, I want to be clear about one thing. This car hates you and wants to kill you. He said, there's a reason it doesn't have cup holders. There's a reason it doesn't have a radio. There's all these reasons, because if you don't have two hands on the wheel, you're shifting the gears. That's all you do. You drive the car. And, it was a massively powerful car, and it was so fun to drive. But I had to like think about that. Like, okay, so if I had to pick one classic car, just one, I'm going to avoid Hemis because at that time they didn't. You had to adjust you had to adjust the lifters all the time. You had to change spark plugs every damn week. If you wanted to race it, you'd have to change the pumpkin out and put a posi in the back, 411 in it.
Syncing two
So
4-barrel carburetors together is
yeah,
awful.
syncing carburetors and all that. So it kind of narrowed it down. But there's one car that even when I was young, I loved this car. I like, people are like, well, I don't, spoilers are gay or whatever. But but sometimes all the pieces come together and you get a look that is iconic. And Mikey knows I love B-body Dodges, but they're big and they're bulky, and you have to have extra power to make up for that weight. They're terrible handling cars. They're fun. They're gorgeous. I love B-bodies, and I always will. But
what can you do with
my pick? If I had to pick one,
do it. Yes, color and everything.
And it has to be Moulin Rouge. It has to be this color because of all the colors in Dodge and Plymouth stable at this time. This color is called Panther Pink for Dodge, Moulin Rouge for Plymouth. Every one of the high impact colors has a Dodge name and a Plymouth name for the color, but it's the exact same color. This is one of the colors that Dodge has never resurrected on the new cars. Plum Crazy Purple, yes. B5
it would
blue,
not look good. It would not look
grass green. It has to be pink. It's going to have to be pink. I'm sorry. So the TA or the AAR, the TA is the Challenger, and the Challenger is longer. Hoot is short. It's the shortest wheelbase car they had with this engine combination. It's got a 340, and yes, it is a 6-barrel, and that would be terrible to mess with. But because it's a 340, it's a lighter car in the front. It's a much better handling car than it would be with a big block. It's a lot of fun. It has the flat black hood with this iconic hood scoop and the hood bends. The front of this car just looks so cool. It has a ducktail spoiler on the back. It's not a wing, it's a ducktail. And it was designed
a really dumb exhaust configuration.
The thing is, it looks cool as hell, right? This car literally had two different sizes of tires, so the back would set up higher. All right, the AAR does. The AR and the TA both. The TA Challenger. A lot of people don't realize that Dodge had a Trans Am, and it was the Challenger TA because it's for Trans Am racing. At that time, Pontiac hadn't totally secured the name of Trans Am. They had it, but they didn't have a right to it completely. That happened later. So the Challenger is a TA. The Plymouth is an AAR, and it has this stripe down the side. This is all part of this AAR package. They're made in limited numbers, very similar to NASCAR. You had to, if you were going to race it, you had to have a version of it you could buy. The reason that the side exhaust is stupid is because to have a muffler on it and everything, you literally have to run the exhaust down the back of the car, loop it up, come back. This is all pushback on the engine. This is all terrible. It's a terrible.
It's like an extra 4 feet of exhaust pipe on each side,
and it's curved, so you're getting back pressure every time you hit the gas. They do sound good. They're very cool. But this car has the look. To me, this is one of the ultimate muscle car, pony cars especially. Technically, this is a pony car designed to compete with the Mustang. There are Mustangs that are probably way cooler, way more known than the 70 AAR CUDA, but this is just, I love this car. I love the way it looks. I've driven these cars. There are things I would change about them, but if I had to pick one that was not modified, that was not a resto mod, that was just straight off the just perfect Concours edition, this is what you're driving home, this would be the car.
What a pick. What a pick. You got the little chin spoilers on the front. The hood's fiberglass, which meant they had to relocate the antenna because fiberglass interfered with the radio signal. There's so many cool things about the AAR CUDA that are just little deals. But man, what a pick. And Moulin Rouge too. Just God, that color looks no better than on a 70 Gouda.
I agree. I think, and
The
part of that
lines, the
is,
sharp edges, it just God, it's so good.
yeah, it's slick. It's it's very much like I say, there used to be a joke back then about pink cars, right? Like if a man's going to drive a pink car, he better have the ability to beat anything off the line, right? The AR Cuda isn't super fast off the line, but it is fast. The 340 doesn't give you near the torque that a 440 or a 426 would give you, but it's drivable.
You could
All right,
corner with it
and
better than a
it
big block
corners
for
so
sure.
good.
Mm-hmm.
And modern tire technology has changed that. It was terrible in the 70s, but you put a good set of Coopers on it, and it handles them really. It handles really well. And people don't realize this, but the tire, when you're reading like an old Mopar where they're driving the cars and shit, those are on polyglass, tires.
Bias
Those are
ply.
bias ply tires with no, you know, you know, bias ply tires. The only thing they're good for is driving on gravel.
They are perfect for that, and they are great
But
for that.
technology of radials now is to the point where you rarely slip a belt because you hit a rock. Tires have come a long way since then, and you really don't realize how much tires affect the ride and handling of a car until you drive a car for about 3 years on bias ply, and then you get your first set of radials.
Oh
All
yeah.
of a sudden, it's just like, holy shit, this is actually a decent car.
Now, if we expanded the rule book on this, and it was something where you could get a little bit of a resto mod with it, would you still pick this and resto mod on top of this, like Hodgkin suspension, new tires, new wheels, new 6-speed Tremec or something like that? Or would
Well,
you
if I
would
was
you
gonna
pivot?
do that, then it would definitely be a 70 GTX, Plymouth GTX.
Okay, all right. So you at that point you would go for a B body.
I would, because
Okay,
there's more room in a B body to put all of that suspension stuff.
totally
There's
agree.
more room to play with. You could fit a Hemi in them, a modern Hemi, even a Hellcat motor in them. You could, the engine bay, the engine size of a Hemi would fit whatever car that would fit in. Will obviously fit a Hellcat engine,
Sure.
but a B body has a little more comfort. Um, some other better things. It just wouldn't corner like a Cuda.
Right.
I would be really tempted there to decide, if I was going to go B body, if I could do full resto mod. Uh, I think, at the end of the day, I think when I was a kid, I started leaning towards B bodies because the E bodies, even back in the 80s, where you could pick up a Roadrunner for $700, a Cuda was still more expensive, right?
Hmm.
So my love for B bodies kind of was a cope mechanism. But the GTX has the scoop on the fake scoop on the side. It does have a blackout hood if you want it, but it's got the stripes. It's got the little air grabber hood with the shark teeth on it. The
Yep.
70 Roadrunner or GTX has more of a sign of the times feel to it. The Cuda just feels like it was just I like the look. I always thought the 70 GTX or Roadrunner has a iconic muscle car look, the way the grill looks, like video games when they're not sure what a muscle car should look like. When you really look at them, they're copying a Roadrunner or a GTX, with the slick grill, and then they pops out on the sides for the headlights.
Yep.
There's differences that are definitely there, but the Cuda is probably just my favorite body style of the time.
Solid pick.
It really is, Cooter. Like, it is pink. I get that. It's a dark, hot, kind of hot pink, but it is. When you see one, it pops, and that's one of those things. Like, you're gonna pick one. You gotta pick one. You gotta pick one color. You gotta pick one of everything. So, what's the one that's gonna get you to turn the heads? What's the one that people are gonna be like, I wish I had that car.
Yeah.
That's cool. I've
Pink
never
for
seen one like.
70, but if it's a 71, it's plum crazy.
Yeah, I think that
Ultra
too.
violet for I don't know what it is, but 71 when they change the grill and you get the billboard stripe, it's it's purple. Now all the colors look good on it. I mean, a Winchester Gray 71 is an incredibly badass looking car.
Yeah,
Cuda
and I
Factory
also,
had
you
one.
know, as
Awesome.
I've gotten older, I've gotten an appreciation for Ivy Gold, which is that pea green color. Um, but this one is a good pick. I remember as a kid seeing the ad that Chevy did for the
The ropes.
70 when the 70 came out, when they had the ropes over it staked into the
Yes. So
ground, like
good.
trying to hold
Yeah.
it down. Like muscle car advertising was phenomenal.
Pinnacle.
You know,
Pinnacle.
a 70 Chevelle SS, a Buick GSX. You know, I mean, 1970 is probably the pinnacle year for muscle cars because everybody had one. The 44 Oldsmobile had the 442. Uh, you know, everything that Plymouth had, Dodge
W30.
had. You know, I mean, muscle abounded, and nobody cared about gas prices. Nobody cared about insurance because the insurance companies hadn't caught on yet.
Yep.
So you know,
Yep. Yeah.
also a good choice, Ninja.
That is a good pick. It's a good pick. Yeah. Lead sled.
Oh yeah.
Can't lose.
The Canaan though, Mother Slug says that you a 56 Metropolitan would be.
Oh yeah, because size matters. Sure.
That always sounds good, the Canaan, until you try to drive it in traffic and you can't see out the fucking rear view mirror.
Yeah, it's a bitch. That's a bitch. Mother Slug also says the 35 Duesenberg, which is that's a very cool pick.
That's an awesome pick. And I actually considered the Duesenberg or a Cord, like a 512 Cord.
Cord's cool too. Even the Cadillacs of like a 29 Cadillac.
Yeah,
supercharged. Oh my god.
I'm a sucker. That is the CUDA is a great example of this. Really long nose, really short deck. Right, that looks so cool. It really does because it makes it, you know, you see it with those cars with the pipes coming out the side and then under the car. Oh my god, man,
incredible!
How cool is that? So yeah, I can see that totally.
So good. Okay, well,
I want to hit this one. Okay, so I want to be clear. We kind of like started talking and said, well, let's go before 1980 to be truly vintage collectible. The GNX is bar none for that period the coolest car ever. Like that. You can tell me.
Aero coupes are up there though.
Aero coupe is tough,
but they don't have the performance that GNX does.
Grand Prix 2+2 is up there.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't like that they're all silver, right? I would want one that was orange or red. But the GNX, you can have it any color you want as long as it's black, right?
That's right.
The turbo Mustang Killer turbo tweaked up, you know, pulling the quickest quarter mile car of 1987 was the GNX. They fixed the handling issue that Monte Carlos had with the bump on the back end with a Panhard rod out of a Trans Am. It has the Trans Am snowflake wheels. Yeah, GNX is hot. I could easily come up with a top 10 list, and the GNX would hit it every single time. Every time.
For sure. It's a incredibly badass. Well,
that is a fun fact. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Especially when you think like horsepower, right? Literally was come up with a horse. How much power a horse has to pull. So a steam engine's like, it's way better, man. 5 horsepower. This would be like having 5 horses pulling.
Yeah. Huge.
That's awesome. That's a really cool thing.
Really
appreciate everybody like popping in. This is what we wanted.
Yeah.
We wanted everybody like
I love the engagement. Yeah. So speaking of Buick GNX, I went with his dad, the Buick GSX. This is my favorite muscle car.
3 colors, right? You can get this in 3
colors. 2 in 1970. You could do the Apollo white or Saturn yellow. In 71, they brought in the blue.
And black, right? You could get somewhere in there.
And the black, yeah, where they inverted the stripes. Or inverted the pinstripes.
This car is hot.
This is a bad motherfucker, and still stylish and comfortable. Oldsmobile and Buick did not give up comfort for power.
That's right.
The Oldsmobile 440 and the Buick GSX. Well, I guess the Skylark would be 440 territory, right? The GS stage 1 and stage 2.
Stage 1.
GSX would be the 440 W30, which is top dog. The GTO Judge upper echelon of GM muscle. But yellow on this it's a non-negotiable. The blue's okay, the black's all right, but the Saturn yellow that's the cream of the crop, and the cream of the crop rises to the top.
And it has all of the things that you would expect a muscle car to have. It has a cowl induction of some kind.
Yep.
Beautiful hood design. You got a black stripe going down the top of it. A cool stripe on the side that says this is this car. You have a spoiler in the front, a spoiler in the back. Yeah, this is it.
And Buick's take on the Mag 500 rim. It does have a hood tag.
I didn't know you could get those on the GSX. Makes sense. You had them on the Judge, so why not Buick?
Right. It does, but I am with Pawpaw on that. You don't need to see it. You just listen.
There you go. Yeah. His Judge did not have a hood tag.
Did not have a hood tag. Did not have vacuum hideaways. Yeah. It was, in fact, I think he said even like he requested it to have a bench seat instead of the buckets that Judges came with.
Bench seat with a 4-speed.
Simple man.
Very simple man.
Yeah, this is my end all be all. It's tough. There's a lot in the running, but the Buick GSX Saturn yellow with the 455. Oh God, this car.
It's a good ear.
What
color is your Trans Am?
Whoa, that's cool.
That's amazing. Holy shit.
No shit.
Color? I gotta know what color it is.
I feel red, but we'll see. Yeah, so I don't have any personal connection to this car. Not like the 69 Judge or 67 stage 1, but this is the one for me. There's a lot of Mopars in the running, but my God.
Yeah,
Buick's speak to my heart.
And this is a beauty. This is, again, why 1970 is peak. Like,
yeah,
the VLSS, GSX, like I said, the 442s like hit their peak. Everybody hit their peak, and then the next year the insurance companies caught on.
Yeah.
Yep. And then before that, muscle cars were kind of sleepers. You took a muscle car was basically a mid-sized car with the biggest engine you put in a full-size car, and you just drove around town and slapped people around at stoplights, and they couldn't figure out why.
Right. Thanks, John DeLorean and the Pontiac Tempest.
Yes. So that's the bolder and more personalities the car had. Basically, the insurance companies were just like,
right.
And then,
so by 1970, nobody was hiding it anymore. The top dogs were painted like they were champions.
That's funny. This is a cool story. My old house neighbor down the street had 69 GTO Judge all original. Oh, gunmetal gray.
Gunmetal. Oh, what a cool. good color.
My dad's Judge was carousel red, which is actually orange. Like Mikey said, he opted it out. He ordered it. He's traded his 67 Grand Sport Buick for the Judge. So he ordered the Judge. He ordered it with like very little trappings, like no hood tack, no flip up headlights.
I don't think he optioned for anything
Yeah, the only option was to get a credit for the bench seat.
Yeah.
Because the car came standard with buckets. So we got the bench or on the floor. You know, the judge is high on my list because I was probably conceived in one, but
very,
and I think that the 68, 69 GTO front end is prettier than the 70.
Agreed.
Mainly because everybody else, the Buick and the Chevelle, both went to the quad headlamps, and they incorporated it into the body.
Yeah.
And the 69 Judge doesn't do that because it's the two panels in
very,
the front.
very Pontiac. Got the bird beak on it.
But in 70, so it kind of made it feel like all of GM's cars were doing the exact same thing with the headlights that year. Yeah, you know, and Oldsmobile had already been doing that. Buick had already been doing that. So it's just kind of, you know, it's just different to me. But that's one of the few cars that I would prefer the 69 over the 70 as the Judge or GTO. That's really awesome. I love hearing this stuff.
That's a good pick, Alpha. That's a beautiful pick.
Yeah, I understand that. Mikey and I could too.
It's hard picking a factory representation of what we would want because Dad and I would blow this car apart where the only thing that looked like the original would be the body and colors. Like,
yeah, everything.
Because we're both so into resto mods and everything like that. So
yeah, for sure.
We get that for sure.
You know, later on maybe we'll do a car centric episode.
We should.
And this is, I mean, probably you guys are probably seeing here, like, Mikey and I talk about toys all the time, but we actually have this love for all of these things. We're going to talk about military hardware in a minute, cars, guns, alcohol. Well, you know, hey, I could talk for like 30 minutes about how I wish people would stop calling Fireball whiskey because it's schnapps with a trace of whiskey in it just so they could sell it that way.
True.
Everybody loves Fireball, but stop pretending it's not 1980 and you're just drinking cinnamon schnapps, man.
That's it. I mean, Zach's very open about it. That's his liquor of choice.
And it's a good liquor of choice because schnapps is, like, to me, is a lost thing, right? Like, that was something when I was young and drinking. Like, you want something that tastes good, you get schnapps. You want something with a fruity flavor, a good flavor. Like, there are things. Obviously, Grand Marnier has a citrus in a cognac. You know, that you do have that, but good old, it's hard to beat. To me, it's hard to beat a good old slow gin. You want the flavor, you want all that, but yeah, Fireball's delicious. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying, like, there's an entire story about how they took their schnapps, rebranded it, put a trace of whiskey in it, and then somehow got away with that. In Europe, they couldn't get away with it. In Europe, they can't even call it whiskey. You can't put that on the label. Yeah. But they sell the shit out of it over there for the same reason.
Yeah. God damn. 107s.
That's sweet.
Whew. See.
100% agree with Kanan. I love Fireball. I wasn't knocking Fireball. I was just saying, like,
he does love sugary drinks. That's true.
I do too. I can smell. I just love sugary drinks. Like, I love schnapps when I was getting, like, butterscotch schnapps, things like that. I loved that.
Yes, agreed.
So we're going to talk about military hardware.
Military equipment.
This was difficult for me because there are things I would love to have. I could have, like, said, like, a Humvee or anything. Yeah, for sure. Just as cold as it could possibly be. So good. Jimmy, I used to work with a kid. He worked for me, and his dad was, I swear, like, the ultimate man's man, like, they had a whiskey distillery. He had a class 3 license, and he had military connections with contractors. So this guy had, oh man, so many weapons that that most of us couldn't even touch. But he did have a mini me out there, pretty cool. He had lots of cool stuff, but the saw is an absolute blast.
And it's fucking fun to shoot too.
Dan, that's a good one too. That's a good one too.
Ooh,
So military hardware can cover a lot of things, and I really struggled with just picking a gun. Okay, because as Cooter says here, industrial strength night vision goggles would be amazing. I would add to that a scope, a sight with thermal.
Thermal, yeah.
You know, where you could flip it from night vision to thermal to standard, using a laser light as a guide when you needed to.
Great
A
for
sight,
coyotes.
an optic would be a really good. Uh, let's see, what's the word? A practical thing, right? Because people are going to be like,
100%.
when would you ever use that? Okay, listen, man.
You don't deal with coyotes. That's what that tells me.
Coyotes like crazy out here, dude. I would love to be able to spot those things at night and they're little huddled up, thinking they're hiding and shit, doing their little howling bullshit, and take out like 5 of them before they can even run. Yeah, I could think of lots of practical uses out here on the farm to take care of those sort of things.
For sure.
Okay, so 249, 240, absolutely. Of course,
that makes sense. That makes sense for Cliff. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like Justin's dad, you know, man. Justin would be like, guess what I fired this weekend? Oh man. Oh God, I don't want to know. So for me, and we've talked about this when we on the couple of kooks here about, you know, weapons that I was designing, weapons I was building for us that nobody really made.
Hey, GI Custom.
You.
Thanks for popping in, buddy.
Well, Mother Slug, it could be anything. But my problem with military vehicles is they're just a pain in the ass, right? And I was going to pick a military vehicle, but whenever I think about buying something, like I don't have a lot of guns.
I don't have any after the boating accident.
Yeah, they all got lost. There was a thing. They all got they're gone. You know, but you know, I have a couple of practical rifles. I got my hands on an AR-10 and Armalite original AR-10 that I got to play with it a little bit this week. Man. So, you know, I have tons of weapons that I would love to have. You know, arguably the greatest machine gun in the world is the Uzi. I would love to have an Uzi. But when I was a kid on the news, there was an incident around 1980 where the SAS performed an operation at an embassy. We were watching this on the news, and I wasn't super into guns then. Like I said, I was a Star Wars fan, but I loved the old GI Joes, and I would always like. I had 12-inch guys, and not a real good way of getting the stuff that I thought looked cool. I watched these SAS operators, and they had this gun, and I thought, well, that's like the coolest gun I've ever seen. There are better submachine guns than this, I will admit it. The Beretta M12 is probably a submachine gun that was almost perfect in design, but nobody really wanted it. It's a great gun to fire. It's great, it's super simple to take apart and clean. But once the HK MP5 hit the scene, it was really hard for anybody to compete with that because it was so slick, and the way that the way you chamber the round, all of that is so slick on that gun. And so other than the Uzi, I would say the MP5 is probably number 2, right? But for me, it's this weapon right here, and Walther MP.
Walther. Okay.
I love this gun. All right. I think this gun represents the if the MP5 represents what the modern submachine gun is going to be, the MPK represents the last iteration of the old guard. I do, I came to submachine guns because they are a lot harder to get your hands on. They're traditionally more expensive for a layman to get their hands on. Right now, with all of the pistols on the market, machine pistols, it's become easier. But those all have a look. The Scorpion obviously is one of the coolest looking ones. The Chris, I mean that thing just looks like it came out of a science fiction movie. The Vector, there's a lot, but this MPK, and if I wasn't sure, I was telling Mikey the other day, like this book. I remember seeing this poster in a comic book store once. I wish I would have bought it. I haven't seen it since. I've never seen one since. But Nick Fury is like holding one of these, and I thought that was pretty cool. It's like it does look cool. It does look like a spy's gun. But I like this gun. The folding stock is, as folding stocks are, pretty chintzy. The Uzi folding stock is a little better, but the MP5 is hard to beat. The way the stock slides out of the MP5, that is a perfect gun for that sort of. But like I say, to me, the MP5 represents like what was now at that time. This is going to be the new paradigm that everyone's going to go after, right? And the modern MP5s have a much more harder look that look a lot more like this Walther in the front. You got a lot more, like literally in the manual for this gun, it tells you that the front handle for this gun is literally the magazine. Like this is what you hold on to when you fire this gun. Do not put your hands here
up front.
Yeah, this
That's
is
gonna be bad.
hot. This is hot. Don't touch. Hold it here. So yeah. So this, if I could go out and buy one, pistol caliber gun to keep and to have like as my sub gun, I think it would be this. This has a lot of, like I say, the nostalgia of watching the hostage situation. They did have MP5s, all right, so it wasn't like everybody was carrying these, but it was a pretty even split of these Walthers and MP5s, and eventually the Walther lost out. It's kind of like the M12S. Beretta built that. It's an almost perfect submachine gun, but there were better guns out there, and very few people bought them. The MPK was the same way. It came out as like this is perfect. There's a longer version of it, the MPK-S, that has a longer barrel. I like this one. I like its size. I like how it can fit as it is in very small packaging. So this is my choice. Like I say, it's not a popular choice, and it's probably not like the greatest. Obviously, not the greatest machine gun ever. I would put that on lots of other choices, but I like this because it's iconic to me. And like I said, as a kid, actually watching an elite military force actually pull off an operation and succeed, and this gun was in like almost every picture they showed of those SAS operators. Like this gun somebody was carrying one of these. So, nice. 1980 was a pretty pivotal year for me. I learned a lot about a lot of things, and as a young man, as a kid, my worldview changed on a lot of things in 1980. So this, seeing this gun, watching real guys use it, really made me think about it. At that time, the only gun I had was my dad's Remington 22. So it's not like I had like a vast collection or had a lot of experience with other weapons. But I would have loved to have picked like an M14 or something like that because I do love those guns. But I want a sub gun. I really want a sub. So that's my pick.
Nice. Well, I did pick an M14, a Mark 14 to be specific.
This is the exact gun that was my second choice.
This is what I want. Now I like the standard military Mark 14 with the pistol grip and extended stock.
Sure.
But if I was going to pick one, I'd go with the Archangel because I think that is one of that's the sexiest version of an M14. I love World War II guns. I love Vietnam guns. I've had a love for the M14 for a long time.
Me too.
This is the ultimate evolution of that rifle. I absolutely love this, and it's just too expensive. This regular M14 is too expensive.
And that's layman's. The problem. It has to go on a dream list because how else are you going to afford it?
Right.
But now that's not, I gotta say, all right. As a person that is addicted to collecting things, if I didn't collect everything else I collected, I could probably have more.
Sure.
But for me, I got to pick. I mean, if I was picking a long rifle, it would be an M14. If I was picking an assault rifle, it would not be an M14. And if I was picking a personal defense weapon, like I said, I want the MPK. But it's not like the nice thing about making a gun list of what you would like to have in your locker is that it's going to evolve. And a lot of the time, when you actually get to shoot the gun that you think is the gun that you would want, you're like, no.
Right.
I mean, I have a love for bullpups. And the Tavor is almost the perfect bullpup rifle.
The Tavor is good. Fun to shoot.
The P90 is
more fun to shoot.
The problem with the P90 is it's a very complicated design, and I don't know that, I really feel like you have to have one gun in your arsenal that is completely bulletproof. And an AK-based platform is that.
It's true.
Not necessarily for long shooting, not for any of that, but a personal, something to,
It's an apocalypse gun.
It's an apocalypse.
It's an apocalypse.
It really is.
100%. It's like mini 14s, AK-47s, FALs. They're tried and true. It is what it is. An AK is the most resilient weapon we have.
That is if I was going to buy one, that is the SOCOM is the one I would buy.
That's so badass, man.
Pete, I got to tell you, here's the thing about bullpups. If you already think that, then you're probably not going to change your mind. I can't change your mind.
No.
The biggest problem that the military has had with bullpups is not only would they have to change the entire structure. I mean, the first of this new weapon system that became the M7, right? The first one that was brought to them from SIG, I believe, was a bullpup design that was a perfect rifle. But it's a bullpup, and people can't get over the fact that you have to reach back here to change out the mag. I get it, all right? But that gun and the Tavor have ambi shell ejection. So you just close that, and the shells eject over here. Or you close it this way, and the shells eject over here if you're a left or right-hand shooter. The Tavor is like, oh man, it's hard. It is so hard to beat that bullpup design. The other thing about a bullpup, as everybody that knows what bullpups are, that's where the magazine is behind. Most of where the magazine is behind the trigger. Is another thing about them is that you would think that they would be heavy in the back, but the way that they are weighted, they are almost perfectly
right above your hand is still most.
Yeah, everything's right there. But the nice thing about the bullpup, the one thing that I will say, and that people that like bullpups, this is one of the selling features, is I can put a whole lot longer barrel on that gun and still be the size of an M4.
Sure.
Right? I can put something that has superior range in it. Another thing that is people worry about is if you had an issue with a blowback or something like that, and it's right by your face. Well, I would ask you, how many times has that actually happened with a regular assault rifle, right? To you or to somebody you know. It doesn't happen very often.
I do understand that that fear, but that's because when we were testing out the Bullpup 12 gauge, I was the one that ran hundreds of rounds through it over and over and over again, and I did get tired of it. But with a rifle, very different.
Also, the gun
Very
that you were
different.
the gun that you were running those rounds through. Let's be honest, that is an AK-47.
Yes, very much so.
Right?
Very much so. Yeah.
So the entire
Not
receiver
meant to be that way.
was not designed to be a bullpup.
No.
Right? So you have this complication of the trigger now has to have a piece back here that pulls the firing pin. You know, there's a bunch to it. But when a gun like the Devore comes along, like that gun was designed to be that, like in every way possible.
Yep.
You know, the original like standard was the FAMAS, right?
Sure.
And the Devore just kicks that gun's ass on every level.
100%.
But
100%.
you know, if you have a small army, right, like the Israeli army, I say small, understanding, right, compared to the U.S. Army,
comparatively,
all right, then you're going to have to really think about. So for this many years, we have planned for storage, stowage, ammo, all that for this design of a rifle,
this platform,
right? So now you're saying like, oh my god. Well, when the Army, of course, they did this, they did another test right before this newest round of testing that resulted in the M7, and I believe it's the Remington. I cannot remember the name of it. Something 20. This started years ago with the Land Warrior program, right? The government has spent billions of dollars. Contractors have spent billions of dollars trying to figure out what gun the Army wants to go to, and they get to, you know, they just spend all this money and then they tell these guys, yeah, we're not going to do it. You know, so, but what happened during that is the Marine Corps is like, you know what, we'll take that. And that's the first time in a long time that the Marines, because they are a smaller force comparable to like the IDF Israeli defense, like the Marine Corps could do that. They were like, we're going to use that gun. That's going to be our gun. You guys can keep jacking around and playing with the future or whatever you're doing here. We need this gun for our forces. And the Marines just said, we're buying them. And they did.
Which is, yeah, like you said, like it's something the Marines have never been able to do that. As far as weapons and equipment, they're secondhand.
Yeah.
From World War II on, it's just been like, hey, they're our elite fighting force. We'll give them whatever we don't want.
Yeah. And you know, people joke about the Air Force, right? But there are contingencies. That's right, Jimmy, and that's the thing. But now you have to do that for the entire army, you know, and it's just you've created this juggernaut, and you can't do it, you know. But they, yeah, I got this here. We're good.
Yeah, it is, but Zach, you have to train it.
Zakanian, you have to train, and we've all used front mag. That's the American way, right?
Yep.
All the way back to the Grand.
Yeah, it's like a forward engine, and then you switch to a mid engine because that's where the performance is. Yeah, everybody's going to have to take some time to refigure out engineering of front suspensions and everything like that. And just like rifles and stuff, we were on the last to convert. Like the Corvette just became a mid-engine car, despite years it could have been holding the flag for price and availability. It took them long. I don't know if we'll ever fully convert, but
yeah, I mean, Zakanian, you said that about the reload speed. Here's the thing, like the Devore and the newer versions of bullpups, the one thing that they did that is different than the ones before that is they put a mag release where you can easily get to it without moving this hand at all, right?
Your hand stays ready position.
Yeah. So all this hand is doing is making sure the mag clears and popping in the new one. You do that enough times, that repetition, you'll get it. And if you train that way, you train that way. But to bring it to an entire army of people that have never been trained that, it's that way. And so I was talking about the Air Force, right? So the Air Force does have elite units, but even you think the Marines got the secondhand shit. And when you look at what pararescue has used over the years since Vietnam, like they basically just take, oh, well, the Marines are using this receiver, so we'll use this one, and we'll put this barrel and this suppressor on it. And you start trying to figure out what the pararescue was carrying. You'll see a picture of 6 pararescue guys, and they all have a different version of an M4.
But that's because the Air Force spends their entire budget on aviation and not pararescue. Like
they're sending these guys to SEAL teams to learn how to be SEALs, how to be SEAL trained, BUD certified, and all that. And then they come back and they're like, "Hey, what can you do with this?" These guys are looking at like, "Okay, can I just go to a gun show and pick one up?"
Yeah, why are we using Carl Gustavs?
Yeah. Oh,
what?
Swedish K, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, and like cars, Mikey and I could talk about guns for hours, but this was it's just it's the thing, right? So it's one of those things like guys like, some guys don't, but mostly it's one of those things.
For the most part, yep.
Guns, things that remind you of the past, cars, even boats. People love boats and ATVs and all that. We all have stuff we spend money on, and it's fun to talk about that stuff. And it really, you say like you don't know shit about it, or you're telling the wrong story. Hey, you know what? The thing is, like, you can go online, you can watch tons of videos, you can go research some of the stuff, like this whole Army weapon development system that's been going on for 25 years, billions of dollars wasted. The newest version that created the M7, they literally brought 3 companies in: SIG, General Dynamics, and Textron.
Yeah.
Textron weapon system is amazing. I got a really in detail look at that system about 5 years ago when they were just getting ready to present it, and they were presenting it. And every one of them, to start with, it was caseless ammo, it was this, it was that. And then at the end of the day, like, SIG's like, I think we can do this in a much more traditional way. The first version of it, the M5, was kind of dog shit. I mean, you literally had a front receiver frame. You had your front grip that you could flex so much that it would move the barrel. So you put a laser sight on that, you fire it a couple times, and now the laser sight has moved over 10 meters from where you have it sighted in at. Yeah. That's not going to work for a combat rifle, So the M7 has a much more robust front hand grip, front hand rail, and stuff like that. Really good rifle, but when they actually sent it out in the field, like, the feedback was terrible. Right. So I'm really curious how that's going to go, because they've already committed to it. So I'm real curious how that's going to go. But stay tuned. Maybe it'll be awesome. It is a nice looking rifle. I haven't got to handle one. Like I said, that Textron, that whole tour that I got with that was the president of the company I was working for at the time used to work for Textron, as very high up vice president of Textron. And so he brought me all kinds of, like, I asked him a question one day, and he just comes in about a week later with a box of like all their materials and little, like, a model of it that they had passing around, and it was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty neat. But what's funny is the Army said, okay, this time when we do this newest version, we don't want an M4. We want a totally new system. Stop. We're not looking at M4s, And this SIG is actually, it's great and everything, but it's like the entire receiver is exactly the same as a civilian version of a rifle they already have. Like, SIG just like gave up. They were like, this is what we're gonna do, and that's what they did. Sorry, I had a fly. I don't know if you saw last time, but I had a fly in here and it flew right in my hair while I was talking. Like, I could see it on the camera, like this little black spot, like, moving. I was like, what the hell?
Awful.
I don't know what the deal is with this room, but there's somewhere in the window over there where it hatches flies. It's gotten warmer. Like, I came in here the other day and there were over 20 flies just on the ceiling. Ridiculous.
Jesus. All right, so something that doesn't exist, the bonus category.
All right. I'm going to use this as an opportunity to be a brand whore.
Oh. Fucking chill.
Something that doesn't exist but could easily exist with a little encouragement and a budget.
Yeah. Okay.
An entire line of 1/12 scale call sign long movie.
Yeah.
This would include the ones you see here, which are several that aren't in the Kickstarter, but are considered core characters to the comic book. It would include Ghost. It would include the Adapt Trooper. Very necessary Soviet troops from the 1985-86 Cold War era. Everything would be Cold War era. And on some of them, we would like slip up maybe to 1990, like for the Delta Sniper. But for the most part, these are characters and figures that are based in 1985-86, and they would be in the 1/12 line, which is something that I feel is desperately needed. A lot of the gear is going to Lancers gear, for instance, is very Vietnam Green Beret, inspired. So
Alice.
I think
Very Alice.
yeah, very Alice. So that so some of that is cool. It'd be great for customizers. It'd be great for all these things. Mikey built these by request, and he used the same colorways as the O-ring figures. And I would like to do that anyway because I think that makes it fun. The colors are brighter. It makes them look like cool figures on the shelf. You got the iconic look of the Delta Sniper. You got an iconic Green Beret. You got a Pararescue, badass Marine with an M60. You got your Soviet troops, and a tracksuit terrorist. You need that.
Yeah.
You got a guy that basically looks like a GIGN operator with an SAS vest. So some pretty iconic 80s archetypes of special forces. So that I think that, and I am working on this. I am trying to get this done, but this is, it's a wish list, and this is my wishes that we can get this done, and it is something that it doesn't exist yet. It hasn't been completely greenlit. I'm just in a design and development stage here, trying to pitch it as something that could work. So that's all this is. But me personally, my wish is to make this happen.
Well, that's pretty good.
I couldn't go another show without bringing it up again. Like I'm trying to flood it out there and get people like saying like, oh man,
good point.
I would, hey, guys, I would buy this if you made them. Like that kind of feedback will be helpful.
It's true. It's true. Well, I went actually kind of similar, but I went back to my my Marvel love. So I did a Marvel Legends wave. So the first one, of course, don't be ridiculous. First one, Spy Wolverine.
Yeah, this is hot.
Team 7 Wolverine needs to happen. I can't believe it hasn't happened ever. Like since 1990s Toy Biz, they have never done this in 1/12 scale. I don't know why. The 118 Marvel Universe, it's a badass figure. That's all they would have to do right there. That'd be perfect.
And they just released a figure that it would be perfect for the base.
True. So there's one, right? So this would be a Build-A-Figure wave. So there's figure 1.
Oh man, this is gonna be hot.
Figure 2 is actually a 2-pack. So Magic and Colossus. Okay. So Magic, I would want the modern version, just a new, better version than the one they just re-released, because I think that figure kind of sucks.
It's pretty in the package.
Huh?
It's pretty.
It does look good in the package. It does look good in the package. Okay. So that one was out of place. So the second figure in the Build-A-Figure wave is modern Scarlet Witch. I love this new outfit. I love this new costume. I think Wanda's one of the most badass Marvel characters.
Absolutely.
So I would like to see a new one on a new body. So there's Build-A-Figure number 2, right? Gladiator Silver Surfer. This needs to happen. This is the statue, but oh my god. Norrin with the armor and the mace and the shin guards. I love this. I think this would make such a cool figure for Marvel Legends. So there's not really a theme to the Build-A-Figure wave. It's just figures that I want. That I would buy an entire wave right now. Nightcrawler from X-Men Red, the new version with the cool new outfit, a little more gristled. I love this version of Nightcrawler. I would buy that in an instant. Wonder Man, a legit one, new articulation, butterflies, and some badass purple arms to swap out would be really cool. I like Wonder Man. I'm not excited what they're doing. I don't think it's going to be good, but I'll give it a try. But Simon's a badass. It is what it is, dude. He's top. He's a badass character. All right. Asgardian Storm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think this is so cool. I think this is a Simonson, right?
That is, yeah.
Yeah. But they've done newer versions of her. There's the Simonson cover.
Yeah.
Not a good picture. Here's a new version of her, right? I love this version of Storm. I love Storm. She is really my favorite leader of the X-Men, if I'm being honest. Asgardian Storm, I think, is so freaking cool. Yes, I agree. I agree. Yeah, there's a newer painted version. I like this one the most with the square armor. I think that looks cool on 4, and it makes sense for Storm too. The Build-A-Figure would be Radioactive Man.
Okay.
A big, badass Radioactive Man. So, since this list is unlikely, that's 6 figures. That would mean Wolverine would have to come with a Build-A-Figure piece, which obviously they'd never do. But this is a dream scenario. So that's the Build-A-Figure wave. So then that leads us with the picture. The 2-pack, which is Magic and Colossus. Colossus, I would want the Outback version, but I think you could do it in a way. There he is. I think you could do it in a way where you could do the Astonishing alternate, and you could have 2 versions of Colossus for whichever team you want.
You put him basically just without his tunic.
Yes, without the tunic, without the big boots. Yeah. The gauntlets, you'd probably be able to remove them. The belt, you'd probably be able to remove. And he would be the most basic Colossus. And then, deluxe figure, blue and white outfit Angel, which is also astonishing if you did it specifically. There he is right there. Astonishing right there.
Yeah,
so that would even fit into what they're doing right now. But the blue and white Angel outfit is my favorite Angel. Archangel is my favorite. The bad, evil Archangel. I love that. But Angel, Warren Worthington III, blue and white, feather wings, which they just did. This would not be a big ask for them. That would complete my super exciting, for me personally, Marvel Legends wave of figures. So 6 figures to do a Build-A-Figure, 1 deluxe, which would be Archangel, or which would be Angel, and 1 2-pack, which would be Colossus and Ileana. Peter, Ileana. That is my thing that does not exist that I'd be super excited about. I would also be excited about 112 Longbow, just so we're clear.
All right, there are some Longbow questions here. Let me hit those.
Do it.
Let's see. I'm messing here. I want to make sure I answer this. Not yet. All right. I'm throwing it out there. Mikey did those figures for me to pitch those to Troy as a possible subline for call sign Longbow. But what I would, I'm doing this. I'm showing these because I know Mikey put them on one of his posts this week. I want to see like engagement. I want to see people like saying like, I would buy this line. I would do this. I would, I need to feel like it's something. I think it's something that we could use in 112 scale. And yes, it is. I am partial to these characters because I helped create all of them, but they were designed for a very specific period, and no one is really touching that period right now. Everything is modern or postmodern or apocalyptic or some other universe.
Yep.
Uh, these would just be really cool 1985, 1986 era U.S. military stuff with Russians, obviously. We'd have to have a Spetsnaz. We'd have to have Volk is the Spetsnaz leader. He'd use the same, and we would approach it. I would approach it with the same approach we use on the O-ring figures, where if this is just a repaint of this with a different leg setup, then that's how we would do the using the parts as good as possible. But a Spetsnaz figure uh, in the way that it's designed could have several different colorways. We could do a winter version like Red Dawn. There's all kinds of stuff we could do repaints and keep redoing aside from the core figures. So that's what I'm saying here. It is not happening yet, but if I can get some grassroots support to show that there are people that say they would buy them, we would not do a Kickstarter. We would do something more like a pre-order setup. See which characters are the most popular of them that we can sell pre-orders for, or something like that. It really kind of depends on what kind of feedback I can get on this campaign, trying to figure out how many people would actually be interested in it. That's why I keep bringing it up. Yeah, I would too. I would love a 1/18th scale version of that, to be honest. A couple of nice. I would like a T-72 tank. I would like a Hind helicopter. I would like to be able to do Russian gear, Soviet gear, Soviet vehicles and stuff like that. And that was one of the entire reasons Troy and I started Call Sign Longbow, was so that we could bring that hardware to those scales. Things in 112 scale, you'd easily do that six-wheeled vehicle that they use in the
Yeah.
comics. There's a lot we could do with that. So so that I just wanted to answer those points, especially the one about this is not happening yet. I would really like to get some feedback. So right now I'm doing a proposal to put them together and put them in front of the people that would make the decisions to help fund it. Um, Troy is in. If I can back it up with some good data on how many people might actually be interested. If it sounds like something that would be cool, Mikey's customs were a huge part of getting that greenlit to the point that I could say, okay, here's what we're going to do. So,
Absolutely. We definitely want it.
all right, 3 hours and 20 minutes. We filled that out.
We did. Yeah, we did indeed.
I appreciate everybody that hung out this long.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very cool. I appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate you watching. We held over 20 for most of this, so that's pretty awesome. Pretty exciting. So coming up, Christmas is next week. Which seems crazy.
Are you doing a Wednesday night show?
I am doing a Wednesday night show.
So you're doing the J&K Custom Works.
Yep, I will do that. And then Thursday, Zach and I are just going to hang out with us. We may, hell yeah, Gun Bunny. We may be, we may bring in one or two of our friends or something if they're available, if they want to join us. But we're not planning on a guest. We just want to hang out and kind of do what we did on Thanksgiving. If we get something cool for Christmas, we'll probably talk about what we got for Christmas. Whatever. Pretty informal though. Tonight at 7:30 on Smudge Customs channel, a handful of us are doing our Secret Santa unboxings. I know Zakan and I will be there. Stew for lunch, Scott Hughes. I know there's I don't know, there's probably close to 20 of us. So we will be there tonight on Smudge Customs channel. If you're not subbed to him, get subbed to him. If you're not subbed to me, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm approaching 960, approaching on the road to 1,000, which is super rad. I can't believe I got that kind of support from you guys. Appreciate it. Well, Pop, I'll give you the floor with that question.
Okay. Here's what's next. The 6 figures that we've been showing, that we've been finally trying to get into production, they're coming. I think we've got everything is zeroed in, and it's time to build. That should, we honestly, I can't imagine that we will not have those. I'm not going to say before Chinese New Year, but I would say that we have every intention of having product in June when we start hitting the shows. That leaves four figures that are not complete yet. But like I was talking the other night, like it's like a dam, right? Here's your dam. Here's all the stuff we're doing, right? And here's a whole bunch of people saying like we want the figures. So Troy and I never really stopped developing. We never stopped doing planning. So that means that pretty close to when those products hit the shelves, we'll also have some other stuff available. We are trying to get the main characters from the comics made. The second comic is almost complete. We're still trying to figure out why that's been taking a while, longer than it should have. We've had some other people reach out to us to help if necessary, comic book people. So there's that. And you know, so cautiously optimistic as always with this factory. But you know, there's some other stuff going on. There's things going on in the background. Like I say, Troy and I aren't stopping. We discussed again. We had been putting off vehicles, accessories that we've modeled them. I modeled them a long time ago, and we've been putting it off. We were hoping that we could find somebody in the U.S. to manufacture it, just to get us a little identity. Like, hey, we make these in the USA. That would have been cool. I'm not sure that that's practical yet. Anybody that's been approached with the idea to do any of this stuff has been very hesitant to do something on that scale. They're used to taking a job, building a few thousand parts for somebody and putting them in a box and shipping them. This would require them to be put in boxes, retail style box, like the GI Joes were. You know, so last night, Troy and I had another conversation about it, and that's where we're at. We have a couple of Russian vehicles, you know, that we were working on. We've got a couple of vehicles that we showed in slide presentations at shows a few years ago. So we have some vehicles that would easily fit in. Basically, imagine like the GI Joe mid-range stuff, like the Asp, you know, the Asp and like the Whirlwind and the Flak Cannon, like that size. But we also obviously we have dreams of bigger things. You know, maybe there'll be maybe we could put together a team effort with one of the other O-ring guys and come up with something very special for Soviet fans. You know, a little bigger item that everybody knows and loves. So that's what's going on. I don't want to like I'm really excited right now. Conversations that we've had since AR, conversation I had last night with Troy. I'm very excited about what we're doing. I just because of the I don't want to say political because it has nothing to do with politics, but the maneuvering involved dealing with the factory and not pointing out that, you know, this stuff would have been this would have been like something that you would normally like say, hey, if you can't do this, we're going to do this. But you know, we have a factory that doesn't like to be criticized, or a factory that, you know, is fine doing what they do, but then if somebody calls them out, they you know, they don't like it, you know, and it's really kind of getting old hat. Like we are grown ass adults, and some of us have worked in this industry, in an industry for a while that is used to dealing with factories that can meet a timeline that they promise. This last one this year was pretty heartbreaking. I'll be honest with you guys. Like, yeah, we'll have these done Chinese New Year. Yeah, you can tell the fans that they're coming, and it didn't happen. And there's no, that's where all our tooling is. That's where we're set. Uh, but I will say that factory, as the Ghost figure shows, that factory is very capable of building a product that makes it feel like it's the 80s again, and you're opening something special and new.
Yes.
And you may have a nitpick here or there because you don't like this pocket here or that there, but when you feel it in your hands and you play with it, it's like, oh my god, this just feels like a GI Joe. I still personally, I feel like what we offer and what we're going to come with is going to be it's going to be all of that. So I don't know if you guys follow Operation Recall. The first 4 figures of those shipped last week. I think they got like advanced shipping out, and the rest of them are going to ship after the first of the year, I think. Pretty cool figures. I encourage everyone to grab a couple. There's, like I say, there's only 4 out right now. One of them was done by, 2 of them came from friends of ours, the designs.
Yep.
Chris did the, what's that one called? I can't remember the name of his.
With the his paintball version with it.
Yeah, and then comic book artist Gabriel Mangum did a figure that is like a breacher, with a canine. That one's out. That is really cool. Like I said, we know those 2 guys, so it's really cool to us that they got their figures in that first wave.
Yes.
So like I always say, like a rising tide raises all the ships, right? So I'm not going to sit here and bash the other guys, like Delta 17 stuff. If you guys haven't picked up any of that, that's cool stuff, and it's available. Yeah, the nice thing about Operation Recall is that was done with some of the original guys that designed GI Joes. So there's a whole story there about those guys, taking these concepts that regular people like turned in and got voted on, and those guys took them and turned them into something else. Each figure comes with a little pamphlet that you unfold, and it's a picture of the card art on one side, and then on the back side it's like how they developed that character, different colorways, sculpt iterations that it went through for design. They're very cool. So if you guys haven't seen those, if you're into 118th and you want some new stuff that if you want something different, to fill your ranks, I would definitely tell you to go get some of those, pick up a few of those figures. I certainly don't have any issues with the other guys doing O-ring figures. But yeah, we are working on it, man. We are pushing it hard, and the thing that, since we can't personally push the factory, we have pushed what we want to make. So there is an entire set of characters, of figures ready to go just as soon as we get your Kickstarter stuff to you, because I don't want anybody to think like we're taking Kickstarter money and making something else. That's not right. We've been very open about the issues that we've had. We haven't ducked out. We haven't, Troy and I, either one, are happy to be on a show to talk about the issues we're having and where we're going with it, because it's our passion. It's just our stuff. So that's kind of what's going on with it. Like I say, I know I'm being kind of vague about some things, but I have to be. I can't say everything that's going on. But I can say that the creativity hasn't stopped. Our love for the brand hasn't stopped. Troy is handling the O-ring stuff, and he said, he kind of told me, like, he said, well, let's pitch this 1/12 thing and let's see what it goes. But he's like, I need you to push it. So I'm pushing it, and I need, if I can get feedback from you guys that you're interested, you think that, then drop a line on the longbow side, or say, hey man, I saw Mikey's customs. I would love skill call sign.
Oh yeah.
Something like that. Just something that I can show, like, hey, here's a few people. Like, obviously 4 people are going to turn the tide of the war or anything, but some interest is better than no interest. And I do appreciate, like, everybody asking questions about it, because that tells me that you are, like, still anticipating it, and I appreciate everyone that hasn't given up. Trust me, this year has been a year of almost giving up, right? Like, it's just like, is this ever going to happen? So we feel that. So I know you guys do. You guys that trusted us enough with your money on the Kickstarter. We know you're still waiting. We're still waiting. But I am really hoping that next year we're just going to open this thing straight up and go to town.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
And if I can introduce a new line in between there, I would be thrilled. I'd be super happy about it. But if somebody asked me the other night about Kickstarters, and I hope we can just stay away from that. I just don't. I don't like it. You end up you put your faith in a company to do what you ask them to do, telling people like, hey, we should have these done in a year, no problem. And then it's 4 years later, and you're like, yeah, they should be next spring again.
Right.
I hate that as much as you guys do. Trust me. You guys that went double all in and stuff like that. You guys deserve the best figures I can get you. So.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to do. I appreciate that.
So, well,
yeah, and people do get them confused. Operation Recall is a separate thing than Call Sign Longbow, even though the words sound the same coming off your lips. They are two very different things. Recall is those guys recalling the original creators to come in and help make these figures happen. Carson's like an excellent cinematographer. He's won an award for that. I hope he's putting together some sort of cool, like, Netflix something. I hope that's what he's doing, because he's filmed all this with these guys as they develop this product, as they sculpt all that. So I really hope he gets something like that put together, because it will be so cool, and it'll be so cool to have it and have the figures. But Call Sign Longbow is Call Sign Longbow, and we're still chugging along. We have big dreams for it, and we have the passion to really push it through. So, yeah, that's what's going on. Sorry about that, Mikey.
Oh, good.
All right, so we won't have a show next week. It'll be the week after.
Correct.
It'll be well into the new year by then.
Yes. Yeah, that's all I got. Appreciate you guys being here. Love the engagement. Can't thank you.
That's what we were hoping for today. For our sort of Christmas show. Like, we just wanted to get everybody. I mean, we talk all the time. You guys answer and say things all the time, and it's just like, okay, well, let's do something that everybody can be engaged in. And we decided this crazy list of topics. Like, it's not just a best action figure this year. Like, no, let's talk about if you had to pick one in all these categories, what would you pick? And you guys didn't disappoint. It's engaged and it's fun, and man, I appreciate you guys. Every time we're on here, seeing you guys and knowing you're here listening to us, engaging with us, that's fun. That's great.
Absolutely. Yeah, appreciate it, guys. I am starving. I got to get something to eat. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. Thanks for spending your Sunday morning with us. I hope if you're watching football, I hope something good happens for you. Have a great week. Be safe. And Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Game over, man. It's game over.
Eat my short.
Go fuck yourself. You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Flush that turd down the drain. Avenge me! Avenge me!
Thank you. Thank you.